Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Fire. This is the Pyro Podcast, episode 24. This is show 86. Well being together, and we is Houdini to my left. Across the way from me is Dogmatica. I am D-Rex. We are Pyromaniac.com. And on this podcast, we are going to be going into the wide receivers and the tight ends of our collective tiers. Last week's podcast had us doing quarterbacks and tight ends. No, and running backs, quarterbacks and running backs, and I thought it was really informative. We had to give and take a little bit on our tiers, like you would, like anytime you're doing things collectively. So today we're going to do the wide receiver and the tight ends. Before we get into it, how you guys doing, man? What's going on? Football's playing. There's games going. We won't talk too much about all the current stuff, but it's just exciting time now that there's actually football. Basically like a pervert in a porno shop right now.
Pretty much, yeah. On Thursday and Friday, I caught a little bit of the early games. Friday, I was able to invest myself and catch as much of all the games as I could that were televised, and then catching up on all the highlights and break-ins, which were pretty cool. So you actually had some standout players perform well in their limited duty. You had some young guys starting to step up, and you're starting to see younger guys also starting to take ownership of some of the different roles that are available to them out there in these battles that are going on in camp.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's our 23rd show, which obviously is one of the biggest numbers in sports, number 23. MJ, obviously. I'm looking forward to seeing Devin Hester, back in his return role, which he should have been for the last 7 years. But
it's a little too late. I don't think people that are expecting Hester to come back and be the guy that he lightened it up his first 4 years. Don't you agree? It's just a little too
D-Rex, as a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you right now, I'll make a bet with you. I bet you he has at least 3 returns for touchdowns this year. At least.
So you'll say 4?
You'll
take 4. I'll take under 4 or under. You'll take a bet.
Yeah, I think he's rejuvenated. I think that he's
a complainer. These days.
No, but they say that he actually looks back to form on returns because he's just concentrating.
What does the loser of this bet have to do?
No, I think you're right, though. 4 I don't think he's going to get. But I think, if he can only concentrate on that and not to catch the ball, he's going to be better. So, discussion, I sort of agree. Anyway, on Jordan, the other part of that thing you mentioned.
Avoid what the bet would be for. I'd like to see someone have to be embarrassed on
this. Did you see the picture that came out that I posted yesterday to my Facebook page? Jordan dunking the ball at 50.
That's ridiculous.
Jordan dunking. It was sick.
Yeah.
Go to my Facebook page and you'll see a nice picture of Jordan with a little kid in the shot, and he's dunking at a basketball camp. Anyway, just really exciting that we've got some football to talk about. And one of the things that we have noticed with you listeners that have been listening to us for a while, we appreciate that. But one thing we're going to be doing a lot less of in the future in podcasts and this season, even in season, is kind of regurgitating what happened in the week prior. We noticed that sometimes we talk at our long-winded ways for 45 minutes on last week's games before we even get into the next week's stuff. So we're not going to be doing that. We'll intersperse a lot of information about the games that have happened and things we've seen recently, but it's not going to be a review of the previous week. So just putting that out there. So let's get into this. I think the best thing to do is just wide receiver spot. Again, listeners, this is me, Dogmatica, and Houdini figuring out the Team Pyro tiers. I've been doing my own versions. I think I've done 3 of them on the site. Houdini's done 2. Dogmatica's done 2. We'll all be putting out another version of our tiers.
I've actually done 5 though.
Yeah. Good point. But the public has seen 2 of them.
Correct.
And so we're going to finally. We had someone on Facebook put a message and say, "Hey, I'd like to hear the everyone likes. We're big part of the tiers movement. I'd like to see what all the Team Pyro thinks of these tiers should be," and I think that's this exercise right now. So we'll get into it. Anyway, tier 1 by himself, pretty obvious.
Calvin
correct?
Johnson.
All right, Calvin Johnson, Megatron.
He's already in the list. Yeah. I got him down.
Donkey Kong. That guy's the best. So, tier 1, wide receiver. Let's move on. And it's just going to go by real quickly. Not.
Yeah. Well, here's where it gets interesting because I think we have there's a great group here in this next potential tier. the way that I see it, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, you got to choose between Julio Jones, Dez Bryant, AJ Green, Brandon Marshall, and maybe Larry Fitzgerald with Carson Palmer there. But I think we're higher on.
I think we all agree Dez Bryant should be number 2, right? Or does someone else think that?
I'm going to back the Dez Bryant thing because after watching him play this weekend, the short time he's out there for one series, he got 3 catches on the one series, 55 yards, took one which was like a little slant, and he just went. And you can see that they're looking to have him pick up exactly where he left off on that second half of the season last year where he went nuts.
I haven't seen a powerful runner like Dez Bryant, the way when he runs, he is just I saw that play cutting across the field. No one wants to come anywhere near that. Those DBs, those safeties are not trying extra hard to get that cut off those lines. I'm telling you, that's why it gets so open. People don't want to touch him. He's a beast. He's like TL.
There are certain guys that come into the league with all the talent in the world and never quite reach their potential. They may actually end up being Hall of Famers. Or even close to Hall of Famers, but
great
maybe
players.
don't reach their total potential. When Dez Bryant first acquired the babysitter, that is when it all turned around for him. He started to realize, wait a second,
I've got a babysitter.
I have a fucking babysitter. Are you kidding me? And I'm telling you, it really turned things around for him. He is going to be the biggest beast in this league, including Calvin Johnson, over the next 5 years. I'm telling you that right now.
If he can keep on track and want to be great and kind of ride across that. For a while, he was an idiot. He wanted to be a rich athlete and be more of a hip hop's lifestyle kind of guy than be someone great. And I think you saw some of the same stuff with Urban. Urban just and even a guy that they just enshrined a couple weeks ago, Chris Carter.
Yeah, there's a guy. Here's the perfect guy.
You just kind of realized
when he was in Philadelphia, he had all the talent in the world, but never applied himself. And then then Buddy Ryan goes, "See ya, get out of here." The best thing Chris Carter says he ever did for him. Got him out of there. He went to Minnesota.
He was a drunk,
right? Yeah. And he straightened his life out, and all of a sudden he dedicated himself to football. And wow, there you go.
Well, I think that's a great point. And I think. Do you agree? So obviously he does
I'm
agree.
going Dez.
Dez Bryant, tier
100%.
2, pick number 2, or rank number 2 is Dez Bryant. I'm personally going to put out my next guy, and you guys know who it's all of us, I'm pretty sure. We all loved this guy last year. I think he was our number 2 guy last year.
He was.
Julio Jones, I think just the upside there, the trajectory we see of his projections of his stats from year to year and the improvement. I think that while there's a lot of great guys, I think he's just got the highest upside and going to probably reach a lot of it.
And again, this is one of those guys that still has yet to reach his full potential. He's now going into his 3rd year. You can call this the traditional wide receiver breakout year, whatever. It doesn't matter. He's on target to really just... You could see it. Okay? It's even tougher for a guy coming out who's called going to be a great receiver when he's playing alongside another top 10 receiver when he came in. Okay, Roddy White was been dominant there. So it wasn't like Julio Jones was able to come in and be the guy right away. So he slowly has taken this away, and I think this is a year that the numbers now slant into the favor of Julio Jones.
There are times when the stars align for a certain guy, and this is one of those times that he plays indoors. He's never been that great at home. He's been awesome throughout his career on the road. But just at the end of last year, going into the playoffs, he started to get it. He's like, I am one of the best. Yeah. I really can be, and I don't have to be nervous playing in front of my home crowd. I can actually be who I am on the road.
I don't know why you'd be nervous playing in Atlanta anyway. It's like everybody there's a transient, right?
There was a lot. It's a lot of pressure on that guy. They traded the farm for him.
Yeah.
He's got to live up to Roddy. You don't want. It's one of those things where it's a delicate thing where he probably doesn't want to outshine Roddy too much because Roddy's showing him all the ropes and being a great father figure. There's kind of that little father-son thing where you're like, I'm gonna be smoking your ass, and you're just like, it's like boxing with your dad. It's like you're boxing with your dad, and then there's that one time where you take a shot at your dad, and he's like, I don't think we're going to be doing this anymore. You're too strong. I can't handle it. The baton's been passed.
Yeah, no, and you're absolutely right. Who wants to step on a guy like Roddy White's toes? The guy is so dedicated. He is obviously very accomplished and, hasn't missed a game in ages, and is one of the more accomplished receivers in the past, 20, 30 years, to be quite honest. He went to Larry Fitzgerald's camp, as I love to mention. But he went to Larry Fitzgerald's camp this late in his career just to improve a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's dedication. And I don't blame Julio for not wanting to step on his toes, but there comes a point when the kid has to outshine the dad.
Well, you know what? That should be more up to Matt Ryan. So,
and it will be.
I think it's going to be up to. I think Steven Jackson came in. He's going to be like the Empire, the Emperor. He's going to go to Julio and he's going to be like, "Not from a Jedi."
Have you seen?
And then Julio's going to be like Anakin and fucking turn into Darth and just start whooping ass. And say, later, Obi-Wan, piss off.
Like I can pull the ball towards me. I know you're throwing the rock, but it's coming to me.
Some of those catches, like that one GIF animation that we put up on Tumblr one time, where he caught that one pass in the corner of the end zone pregame.
Or I think he jumped 17 feet in the air,
and one hand and palmed it in the. Oh, it's insane. But anyway,
have you seen the new ESPN commercials for fantasy with Julio Jones is in it and Matt Ryan's in it, where they're all on their shoulders?
Yeah, I have. I'm not a big fan. I hate the one with Watt.
I haven't seen that one.
But you want to know what's kind of weird is the weird kind of commercial with Arian Foster and Julio Jones.
Right, that was the other one I was talking about. Right, where they're sitting there.
Tell us some unfamous stupid person. It's like a little like it's kind of like that's the changing of guard. Now it's mainstream for us white putzes to get just ridiculed by these athletes.
It's about time.
Sucks. No.
And speaking of white athletes, as you just mentioned, J.J. Watt. I just saw a video on J.J. Watt jumping from a standstill up onto a table that I think is 5 feet high or something like that.
It's insane.
Insanity for a guy.
And then he looks in the camera and is like, watch out.
Yeah, I think I will.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away.
Insane.
I've got a hernia the week we're playing the Texans.
Okay, so we got Calvin Johnson, Dez Bryant, Julio Jones. Who's next, AJ or the Beast?
I say AJ.
And why?
The reason I go for AJ is that Brandon Marshall has already basically said he's not going to get 118 catches this year. You know, this is the one whole part about, you know, we didn't see it in week 1 in the preseason. Marshall didn't play. He's still going to get heavily targeted. I can still see him getting around 100 catches, but I'm expecting, you know, closer between 95 and 100 catches than I am to 110 to 120 like he was last year. And the fact that you have Martellus Bennett there were times where they were trying to throw the touchdown passes last year to Dustin Keller, Kellen Davis, and he couldn't catch the ball. Martellus Bennett's going to catch those, you know, so that's going to take away some of his touchdowns. And I just think that you know, Matt Forte is going to be much more highly back involved in this offense again. I just think that takes away from the total looks that Marshall's going to get. He's still going to be damn impressive. And I still have him just the one spot after AJ here.
However, at the same time, the same argument. They're going to be passing the ball a lot more over there with Trestman in the mix. You know, Trestman is a big time passing guy. Marshall's still going to get the looks. You know, yes, Martellus Bennett came in, but it's still not the biggest tight end type of offense. Alshon Jeffrey came in, obviously is going to be back this year full strength, and Marshall loves him to death. Marshall took him under his wing this past offseason and said the guy has grown immensely. So I do take that as being a bit of a detractor from Marshall, but Marshall's still going to get 1 million targets. AJ, on the other hand, has Eifert to deal with now. He also has Giovanni Bernard to deal with. He isn't sitting there with Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, and a
which is good for
Bernard
AJ.
Scott.
AJ actually has someone that the defenses will have to pay attention to as opposed to just focusing on him. So you think about it, whatever he's done in his first 2 seasons has basically been done with the defenses saying, we're going to take out AJ Green. We're doing everything we can to do
that's what I'm saying. It's the same thing with Alshon Jeffrey, and you were saying with Martellus Bennett. I think that they're in almost directly in the exact same situation, different type of coordinators and different type of offenses. The thing that might lead me a little bit more towards AJ is the fact that
Trestman will spread it around.
Trestman will spread it around, exactly. I think that AJ gets the slightest bit of a nod here, but it wouldn't be that far-fetched to think that Marshall could end up second. You know, I do love my bet Dez Bryant, but I still think that Marshall's that talented and will get that many targets.
In my latest batch of tiers, worked on them Friday night. Basically, I had Brandon Marshall in tier 2 as my 4th guy. And then I actually had, so I'm just going to, whatever you guys agree to, if you think it's AJ or Brandon, I've got Brandon higher. So if you do,
well, let me make one last argument, because we talk about Dez Bryant and we talk about wow, if his projections just continue the way that he's been going, well, let's take a look at what A.J. Green did from year 1 to year 2. 65 catches, he went to 97. He went from 1,057 yards to 1,350. He went from 7 touchdowns to 11 touchdowns.
It's pretty impressive.
On the flip side, and we'll
just target wise,
don't want to beat this one discussion down.
If you guys think
too much,
you guys think
but
AJ,
that's what I'm saying. Because I think if AJ, if Brandon comes down in his catches, and I think they're going to be closer to each other in catches this year than they were last year. I think that's where the playing field is going to shift to AJ, who is still going to be that team's main red zone target. And before last year with the Bears, Brandon Marshall had his problems in the red zone.
Oh, big
say that.
Absolutely. But he still had a bunch of drops. He had a bunch of touchdowns.
He was allergic to him.
But he had the most touchdowns in his career last year.
He was taking his
which was
clarity.
great. However, the last thing I want to say on this, and then he's exactly.
And then we'll get to the next guy.
But we'll get to the next guy right after this. Brandon Marshall has the 5th easiest schedule for wide receivers. AJ Green 21st, and I know that's not going to play that big of a factor. But when you think about the NFC North Central, I don't remember, whatever it is, that's a high-flying division as opposed to the AFC North, which is a very rough and tumble division, where they'll be playing hard, drawn-out games, not drawn-out games, quick games, because it's a lot of running, and AJ might not get as many opportunities as the high-flying division of the Bears.
Well, you already said you had Marshall ahead.
I got Marshall ahead. So
then he goes ahead.
So we got Marshall ahead.
It's super close.
It's close.
Yeah.
Is AJ Green's next? Is he in the same tier 2? Or are those guys?
Yes,
guys start tier 3?
No,
is Des Bryant and Julio Jones are on a different level than if it's.
I think all of these guys are in the discussion. So I think
let's put them all in the tier 2 then.
Yeah, they are all in the tier 2 because any one of those 4 could end up number 2 to Calvin Johnson.
Cool, done. All right, so
down to tier 3.
Tier 3, we start, and that's pick 6.
Yeah, number 6. I think it's
or rank 6.
A lot of people have this, and I do agree. I think there are still a bit of question marks with it because obviously he hasn't played with Carson Palmer before, but Larry Fitzgerald, and obviously he'll be one of the most dominant receivers in the league until he's done playing. But there's going to be a few question marks. Is Arizona with Bruce Arians there? Obviously, they're going to be a much more passing-oriented offense, and Carson Palmer, as being a steady quarterback, is definitely going to target Fitzgerald a lot. But he's also got Michael Floyd breaking out. He's got Ryan Williams and Rashard Mendenhall and a couple of rookies and stuff. I'm going to call him stuff.
He's going to be Jess Graham. He's got the lock-in artist of the world.
Let's stop the doom and gloom part side of it. And what else? Let me tell you the realities.
All right.
Yeah.
What reality number 1? Fitzgerald's coming off of his worst season ever as a professional.
Yeah.
You don't think he's pissed off about that? Fact number 2, he hasn't had a quarterback that could throw the ball accurately to him since the retirement of Kurt Warner.
Yeah.
So those 2 facts alone, and the fact that he has all the top receivers come to his camp, fact number 3.
Yes, I love that one.
And that he helps to improve their games and is seeing, and is feeling like he can't compete on that. Go ahead
and add more. Carson Palmer made Chad Ochocinco look like a Hall of Famer to the degree that one of his touchdown celebrations, he actually had on a yellow coat. Wow, how times change fast for a guy that thought he was going to be. The yellow coat for being in the Hall of Fame. Anyway,
the orange coat's when he goes into prison.
Yeah, exactly.
I get confused. You see the same.
I see him in coats,
Hushama Daddy, he made Hushama Daddy look great. Larry Fitzgerald's a stud. He's been sitting with Keystone Cop situation of quarterbacks there, like you said, since Kurt Warner left. Poor guy.
Yeah.
Bolden's won a championship. Bolden's now on a great greener pastures. Finally, Larry is going to get his moment, get his due. He's kind of like, Larry right now is kind of like how Steve Smith was when he had to play with Delhomme. Delhomme for 5 years, and he's still a first-round pick.
Right.
And you're like, God, could you imagine if this guy had Peyton Manning throwing to him? He'd be the best player of all time.
Hey, and Fitz it's not for lack of targets either, because he still gets the targets from all those crap quarterbacks. He had the 4th most targets in his career last year, in his 9-year career. So, I mean, if he gets the same amount of targets from Palmer, which he will, a lot more of them will be catchable, and he'll go up from 71 catches to 100.
I agree. All right, so Larry Fitzgerald, he's in tier 3.
71 catches. I mean, come on. I mean,
it's insane.
Look at what his yardage was to it. And his yards per catch.
Yes, 798. He had 11.2 yards per catch. The worst of his career.
The yards per catch is going to be up to like 15.8.
Yeah.
You know, and it's going to be a good year.
And only 4 touchdowns, the worst of his career as well.
I love Larry Fitz.
Love him this year. All right.
All right. Who's the next on each of your guys' tiers individually as a starting point for us collectively?
For me, it's Demaryius Thomas.
I would actually 100% agree for many reasons.
Okay,
One,
then lock it. He's not for me, but lock it. But my guy isn't even close. I know. So let's just lock it.
That's fine. I'd like to hear who your guy is.
I don't think my guy's gonna be close for you guys. Jordy Nelson.
Jordy Nelson, still even with the injury.
I mean, I'm riding pretty with the guy,
and you know what? I'm actually fine with that. I still love his potential this year. I'd love to see him come back for Week 1 to make sure of that.
Well, you're one of the guys
even beyond.
I wanted to not. I'm the guy that's back after Week 2. To be honest,
I know. I'm the guy that's.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Even beyond,
I think concerned because I've redone mine. I have him now as my 21st wide receiver.
Now, the question is he 21st because you think he'll miss the first 2 games and lose those stats?
Or you don't like him?
Or do you think he'll be in the top 10 to 15 in points per game?
Well, that may be. Here's my concern, and this is always a concern, and I hate drafting guys this high who are coming off of a surgery coming into the season. Anytime, or a guy dealing with injuries in the preseason, like hamstrings or stuff like that, that is, to me, those are my major red flags because you just, for whatever reason, those injuries don't go away. And the fact that he's had to have this happen and they weren't, I mean, if they knew it was as bad as it was, he would have had it done a couple months ago. So the fact is that he thought he was going to be able to play with it, and now you got to have the surgery.
But that shows me that kind of
that his commitment to winning it for this year. But at the same time,
it feels to me that it wasn't that big of a deal. He could have played, but it's painful. So he's just getting rid of the pain and getting it done and out of the way.
I hope that's right. But here's the thing: I'm a guy, and this is this is how we'll figure out an agreement on where it goes. Is what I'm saying is that for me, I'm not the type of person that likes to take that high of a chance, because that's a chance now on an injury risk, and that's a major injury risk, especially when he's having surgery within a month of the season.
Completely agree.
Yeah,
he could fall down on mine. Right now, I'm not worried about that surgery.
Trent Richardson had the same surgery. He ended up 9th in fantasy points last year as a rookie and missed 2.5 games. He had the same type of thing, basically. Might have even been a little bit more of an invasive surgery than Jordy Nelson had, which was a very non-invasive surgery in the first place. I don't know. It's with everything that's going on with injuries.
Well, we're not talking about Jordy for this spot, though.
Yeah,
no. I'm just saying.
I said go with
Oh, for sure. I'm going with Demaryius. I'm still going with Demaryius here, but I'm making a case for Jordy at this point.
Well,
who would be your next after Demaryius?
I've gone back and forth.
We'll get to Jordy.
And I had just done my tiers, and now as I look at it more and I think about it, it's like I almost want to swap it back again. I have Roddy White, but the guy behind him who I almost think I need to move up, especially after his performance, is Victor Cruz.
Yep.
After I saw that touchdown catch he had in the preseason game, I was like, man, he is still going to be the target machine. He's going to be the one guy that Eli really relies on and goes to.
I think Victor Cruz is going to be the guy right there. Listen, I do love Roddy, like I was talking about earlier, going to Larry Fitz's camp as old as he is and not missing a game in his career. I love what he was doing, but Victor Cruz is going to be the guy there. Especially, when you look at the fact that Hakeem Nicks, can the guy ever stay healthy?
No.
He can't. And I love a Ruben Randall. I do love a Ruben Randall this year. But Eli is so familiar with Victor, and like you said, in that preseason game, you see it happen.
In the preseason game, he was he had a couple decent plays with Randall, but he also just missed on a couple plays with Randall. Really missed on a one big opportunity. So, and then you see the pass that he throws. It's just a deep bomb bucket right into the hands of Victor Cruz, who outruns two defenders and high steps it into the end zone. It's half a salsa dance and says, "Forget it."
Victor is legit, dude.
I love a Victor.
Let's lock him down.
Lock him down. I've got him lower, but he's amazing. I can't argue with anything you said.
And it's, you know what? And the tough part about that call right there is that he's a slot receiver.
I know,
in general, he's a slot receiver who goes deep.
That's the whole point.
Exactly.
He is ever since he got to the Giants and has been there, even in the year that he got hurt in preseason. Right?
He was making
all he was doing was going downfield.
world.
That's all he's ever done has been that downfield.
Were you a guy that got burned by him last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
But remember, don't.
I know.
Don't erase the microfiche too quickly.
Again, though, but you also know that
I like him.
You also understand this. I can still put him up here because at the same time, I know I'm probably not going to get him because my philosophy this year is to go running back.
Boring.
No boy.
We're going to get into my wide receivers that I'm going to get up here shortly. So
boring.
Yeah. But winning
like Charlie Sheen.
Always winning.
Winning.
ABW, right. Always be winning.
So Victor Cruz is there. I mean, who are we thinking now? Roddy, Amendola, Pierre Garçon, and Jordy Nelson are my highest guys now. So I know, again, while I'm awesome with wide receivers, I know that I don't go the conventional route. So
you don't, but you're actually probably you usually are probably the best.
You're probably more right than I am.
Yeah.
I know my wide receivers.
You know, you do know your wide receivers, and you go out on a limb with knowledge involved, whereas I think Houdini and I are a slight bit more conservative.
Yeah,
when it comes to
I'm
wide
definitely
receivers.
more conservative when it comes to wide receivers. I'm guys that are going to be labeled as wide receiver ones.
Yeah, my strength is the running backs, and I know when to go on a limb with certain running backs. I think yours, D-Rex, yours is the wide receiver. So speak up.
I'm willing to get more mud thrown in my face when I'm totally wrong. To possibly get that pot at the end of the rainbow, because you know how hard it's so hard to win a championship, and you need all the stars to align, all these things to happen. Where it doesn't happen often, but when it does, I think the wide receiver position is one of those spots that can really do that. But I mean, Garçon, I think what's his name's got to throw. RG3's got to throw. Mm-hmm. I think the only fear for all of us would be is the toe all right? Is he going to be injured? Who do you like here? I mean, I know that Garçon's going to be way higher than where you got him. So who do you like?
That's the whole point. As far as these, I don't really like any of these guys as where they're going to be positioned. So this is where I will say I'll allow myself. I'll allow myself to be talked out of it. But I have Roddy White, Andre Johnson, Wes Welker, Vincent Jackson.
All right, I got. As you mentioned Andre and Vincent there. I had those two along with Pierre Garçon, Randall Cobb, and Roddy White. Those are all right there for me. And I'll tell you at this point.
And I have Randall Cobb as my next one.
Yeah, in my drafts.
Me too.
And I got Jordy Nelson right there as well. In drafts, I'm going to let that all slide. I want one of those top receivers because I'm confident in all of them. I'm going to let that specific tier somewhat slide because they're going to go quick.
Right.
And everybody's going to jump on those guys.
Agree with that.
That's what I'm saying too.
Next 5 or 6 guys are any much better than the next 5 or 6 after that because I think they're all interchangeable in a certain sort of.
And you said to me, Victor Cruz burned me. So for me, I actually kind of have drawn the line at Demaryius Thomas. And if I'm unable to get any of those, then I really want to go into where I have my tier 4 starting, where I have Randall Cobb, and then your Pierre Garçon and Danny Amendola. They're all in that tier for me.
I guess maybe one of the reasons why I do put a Garçon here is exactly what you're talking about. I've got him a higher knowing. I mean, I know when I've got Garçon here, I know the Victor Cruz. I've got Garçon higher than Victor Cruz. I got him higher than Demaryius Thomas on my tiers. Because maybe in some way that's almost a trigger for me to say, hey, I know I've got him higher than some. Amendola is right behind Pierre Garçon. But it's almost a way for me to have those guys higher than other guys I'm crossing off, where I know almost in my mind, I know this is weird, it's kind of maybe the way my personal tiers work, I know that in some ways that this isn't the way it's going to go. And when I look at these drafts, I mean, Andre Johnson for me is way down there.
Yeah.
I mean, literally where you're talking 22.
In your mind, other guys
but you're never going to take
people are going to be
I'm almost moving him down where Garçon
Let me ask you this.
better than Victor Cruz.
I got a great question.
I'm not going to have Victor Cruz.
I got a great question. I got a great question for you, though. You have him ranked that high, then. You got him and Amendola ranked that high. Now we're in the third round, and you're crossing off all these guys that are below. Are you now freaked out into, as opposed to knowing that you could have waited another 2 rounds to grab this guy because no one else is as high on him potentially as
I never worry about that part.
Okay, so
I'm willing to overdraft.
You'll overdraft, right?
No problem. I'm willing to overdraft by 2 rounds. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But when the guy's doing well,
the fact is that you do it with every position.
Yeah,
you don't just do it with wide receivers. You do it with every position.
The reason why I think it works, and you're hedging your bet almost, just think about it. Every year, first round pick in a 10-man league, 5 of those picks suck.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
5 of those picks suck.
Every single year.
Is that going to change for round 2? Round 3? No. The likelihood of them sucking are more and more.
Yeah.
So I like to take a risk and say suckage might happen regardless, but you look. It's
my suckage.
It's almost. You know what it is? It's like Corcoran. I hope you're listening. It's like when we were growing up. It'd be like it's like Corcoran would be running in baseball or football. Fully, you can just keep running and catching it and just keep running. But he's got to, dive for the catch and, make it look miraculous. It's basically what I'm doing in my tiers and my draft approach. I'm basically trying to look good when it's right more than I'm doing the smart thing. But at the same time, these are guys I love. And that's the way I draft.
That was Mike Spike Jones.
Mike Spike Jones. We love you, buddy.
But let me throw this
He's the original member of Pyro.
He was a Dewey.
And he was a Dewey.
There are other gems, as far as but not having to reach for those guys that are are great too. Like you were so high on Doug Martin last year, right? Yeah. I was looking at the guy in my 12-team league that had the best points in the league. Well, and I was looking at his first couple of picks were okay, but he picked C.J. Spiller in the 7th round, and he got Doug Martin in the 11th round.
Oh my God!
So I'm like, well, no doubt that's why he had the best team.
Where were you during all this? Wake up, paging Mr. Houdini.
Yeah, I was a day late.
Obviously not talking to us.
You're not listening to the podcast. I had him my 4th ranked running back last year. He was. That guy in the 11th. You got to take him anyway. It's true. And that's the beautiful thing about our podcast. And
he didn't mention it was a 3-man league.
Yeah. It's a 12-man league. No, it's a 12-man league.
The beautiful thing is
I was on Trent Richardson.
We're all so different in our dynamic and our thought process and the way what we put into this to find our information and how we dissect and digest our information and how we project it and what it makes us do. And I think that's why Dogmatica, I learn a lot from you because you've got different skill sets. In some ways you're conservative where I'm crazy and I got to listen to you and come down to earth. And in other ways when I'm ballsy, you're like, you know what? You've been too conservative and you got to kind of roll the dice there. And same goes with Houdini and some of your just sleeper kind of guys and a lot of the elements where you're like, this guy's going to be good. And you're just like, you know what? I didn't think that, but it's actually a good argument. You know what I mean? And I think that dynamic is what really comes through on this podcast and pyromaniac.com.
Agreed, yeah. And if I don't mind saying, I know we've been using the words crazy and conservative. I don't think any of us are really that conservative. To be honest, when I go dive deep into the numbers and stuff, I come up with some crazy things that lead me to believe that this guy is going to do a whole lot better than people think. So it ends up looking crazy when I know it's not.
Exactly.
Or at the same time, all feel that way it looks like I'm going conservative by saying I'm going for the 2 running back approaches here is because, I love the receivers that I see in that middling rounds where I think that I'm going to be able to pull 2 of them that are going to be top 15 receivers before the end of the season. And I don't have to worry about wasting an early round pick on getting one of a Roddy White or someone like that.
Good point. Even though I think Roddy White is going to be one of the guys that will be on your team in a lot of leagues because he is slipping. He is slipping. You can get Roddy White in some leagues in 3rd, 4th round.
And you know what? You're going to be happy.
And you're going to be happy. So that's a guy that I can see in your approach being on your team, which I think is great.
You never know, but when values are going to fall to you. But but again, it's always smart to go into your draft with a plan.
Yeah. You know one thing, and we're going to do another draft strategy. I was going to come up with a draft strategy thing I kind of came up with this week, but we're going to do in the coming, let's say in the next podcast or so, another kind of part 3 of our draft strategy. We'll all listen to that because I think drafts are about to come up, and I think the most important thing we can provide them is an update on strategies that are what's going on with players right now,
yes,
and where the NFL of today, here, this moment, real time, stands. So we'll do that. But let's move on to the next guy. So I think Roddy White. I think based on what you guys are talking about, Roddy White should be the next guy.
With who? Which number was that?
This is number 9.
We had Fitz and Demaryius at 6 and 7, and then we had 8 as Victor Cruz.
Yep.
So you're thinking that Roddy White should be number 9?
I mean, based on where you had him and where you had him, that's where he goes. For me,
he's really close.
I'm still
right
Pierre
there,
Garçon, Amendola, and Nelson are my highest guys. Then Roddy White. But I know that
I got all 3 of those guys right there as well. But like we were talking about, I also have Andre Johnson, Vincent Jackson, and Randall Cobb right up there as well.
Yeah, but I have those guys below Roddy White still.
Yeah, so I mean,
that's fine.
So let's put Roddy White there.
Roddy White. I think that's a bit high. I think you know what? I think it's a responsible pick. I think it's
okay.
I think it's a responsible pick.
I think at this point in time he'll be within here or maybe a spot or 2.
If he doesn't end up 9 or above, he won't end up outside of the top 13.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Here's the most important thing, and this is the way we all think. Here's what Roddy White will do, regardless of this base plate season stats. He will win you 3 weeks.
Agreed.
Yeah.
100%.
He will go off this year for 200 yards.
Right.
Yep. Have 2 long touchdowns.
Always does.
He will have another 150 plus games where he racks up 12 catches. He might dud out. So when you're looking at his number, this is that explosion factor guy that we're always talking about, where he can win you a week.
Right.
And another thing about Roddy
Jordy
White,
can too, which is why I like him a lot.
Another thing about Roddy, which is the same goes for Julio. All of a sudden, they have the dynamicism of Steven Jackson in the backfield as opposed to the plodding, easily tackable Michael Turner.
And Jaquiz Rogers.
So, it's going to force defenses to play up a tiny bit. Just that tiny bit is going to give Roddy and Julio a little bit more room.
Not only that, the other thing that's why a guy like Roddy White...
And Tony G is back.
Right, but another reason why Roddy White goes higher up than guys like a Jordy Nelson, even if he was 100% healthy, is because Jordy Nelson has never been a guy that's ever caught close to 100 balls in a season. Roddy White's done that regularly. So he has been, before Julio came in, and even while Julio has been here, he's still been a target machine.
Now, if Atlanta happened to have Victor Cruz on their team alongside Julio and Roddy, like the Packers have, basically with
then they would
James
be the Miami
Jones.
Heat.
Exactly, but that's basically what the Packers have. They have 3 receivers who can all do it, as opposed to Atlanta, who has 2.
Right. Well, that's always got to be a differing factor for you when you're looking at ranking a guy, because especially for the guys when you project players that have only had the 70 catches as a high for a season to be something more. I mean, look, we saw Vincent Jackson have a great year when he went to Tampa Bay. Still didn't catch that many more passes than he did when he was in San Diego.
No, he didn't.
But that's why an A.J. Green is what he is, because he goes from 65 catches in his rookie season to 97 in his second season.
Yeah, exactly.
Good point.
That's very, very true.
All right, so we got Roddy White is in there, and now we got to figure out who's after Roddy White.
Tough one. As we've been mentioning.
Who do you have?
Andre Johnson. Andre Johnson was my next guy, and I think that's where Dog was at too. So,
all right, put him in.
Again, these are where you get these old guys at this. It's you're not overvaluing. Again, Andre's a guy.
But you think
I
could have more points than Pierre Garçon this year?
I could slip Andre Johnson down this year.
Who do you think's gonna have more points this year? Just let's flat out think that way. Don't think about the player. Think about the points this year. Who's gonna have more points this year? Pierre Garçon, Jordy Nelson, Andre Johnson, or Danny Amendola, or Cobb and Welker are right there too.
Yeah, and Vincent Jackson. So
Vincent Jackson, I guess, but yeah. I just think Garçon's going to have more points than Andre Johnson.
I would.
Number one on it, it's RG3 and friggin' Matt Schaub. It's a guy that's young and is banged up, but I don't know.
That's the thing. I mean,
you're gonna roll the dice on two awesome years in a row by Andre Johnson.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, Garcon's another guy that burned me last year.
Okay.
You know, got really high on him based on all the.
And Andre helped you a lot, didn't he?
If I would have had him, I was off. Yeah, that was a different trade. That trade turned into Danny Amendola. That was a great trade in my keeper league. That was a great trade.
Okay.
I got Amendola at $9 and Andre Johnson was like $48. This was a great trade.
Okay. Good. Doug, who do you think? We're talking right now after Roddy. Jordy Nelson's out there, Pierre Garçon, Amendola, Cobb, or Welker.
Or Vincent Jackson.
Or Vincent Jackson.
I'll tell you right now, there is no conservative route because Andre Johnson was breaking down severely. And you could tell it before this last season. Last season might have been the anomaly, as you talk about in your article. Your yearly article of
career year beware.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those type of things that
it was a resurgent.
Yeah, it was a resurgent year for him. It's possible, especially with the addition of that insane receiver,
DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins
can't keep a hotel room clean, but he can catch the ball.
Absolutely. And the fact that they have the easiest rush schedule in the entire league leads me to believe that Andre Johnson may not live up to expectations this year.
Well, that's the other thing, too.
It's a conservative approach to
Why was Andre Johnson so good last year? He was so good last year because anybody who got him at a value because he was being ranked in the teens last year as a wide receiver. So now you're trying to push him back up to where he actually kind of finished last year. You know what? I can be talked into moving Andre Johnson down a couple spots.
Here's another reason. I want to give one more reason to this because it's something that people will overlook because they don't look at the facts. The fact is that Houston's defense got decrepit last year. They got just torn apart by injuries. This year, that's not going to happen. Last year, they had to pass.
Right.
They had to pass to stay in games because they're a playoff team. They're obviously a playoff team, especially with a strong defense. They didn't have the strong defense last year because of injuries, so they had to pass to stay in it. They're not going to do that this year.
Well,
Andre isn't going to get those targets.
Let's also talk about that. We're not a big fans of Arian Foster this year. As far as I'm worrying about him as being a bust type guy. We saw his yards per carry drop by a yard from 2011 to 2012. You look at the things that he has going on. Think about this: if something happens to him, the whole team could just the offense could just crumble. And that's and again, Schaub is trying to play for his life. It could just be. It could end up being a sinkhole there on offense.
I don't want to compare Ben Tate to Rashad Jennings by any means because I think Tate's a lot better. But look what happened when I don't want to say that the Jaguars or Houston either. But when Maurice Jones-Drew went down and they tried to bring in Rashad Jennings, the guy was awful. It could be the whole team just implodes. It's very possible.
Well, I say Garçon's our guy here. If we're going to take a risk somewhere,
I do love a Garçon.
I mean,
they say that
Jordy Nelson, Garçon, or Amendola. If we agree that Andre's not there yet. If you guys have Cobb higher,
well, here's the other thing too.
He's in the discussion. Welker, I don't think's here yet.
And again, let's pull back the curtain a little bit for our listeners here and understand too when we do our preseason rankings. And these are the type of things where you have to look at it and go, if this happens, and we do think that this guy is that, we know we're going to be one of the only people that has him ranked here. It bolsters us in that regard too, but it's being bold and saying, you know what? Don't be afraid to be bold. I mean,
and we've done that to help our rankings in other situations
But we don't want to be bold just to be bold. There's got to be a reason behind it.
That's the whole thing. And this is the thing with Garçon. And I look at him again, a guy who's still trying to prove himself since he left Indianapolis. He had that up, again, the way he started out the damn first quarter of that game before he got hurt.
Bottle that first fucking quarter.
And you see then the dedication he's going to have coming back. RG3 and him, he is going to be that big play threat on that team. You have in that. Now, here's the other thing where Garçon, I think, you talk about play action. There is pretty much no better play action, especially considering the different type of formations that the Redskins use in that pistol with Alfred Morris and RG3
and now
basically.
Roy Hilu back
right, and so the way that he is awesome at that fake. You don't know who has the ball, and he can look to now start airing that ball out. Where as a rookie, the game was a little bit too fast at the beginning for him. this could be very good.
He's got to stay in the pocket. He's got to be throwing. There's more opportunities for balls coming into receivers. The one thing I think that I completely agree with you on Garcon's deep threat ability and his ability to stretch the field and get long balls. As a guy that had him on every team, I've never seen a player since probably maybe a Steve Smith when he had Delhomme throwing the ball get more quick hitches on the line than Pierre Garcon. The guy, it's like the Brady Randy Moss thing they used to do, or even Welker. Just on the line, Garcon at the half-yard line, get the ball in his hands.
That seems to be the new thing
of those opportunities. He can go across the field. He can run routes. But he's got that zoom and boom.
I'm seeing that a lot in preseason already.
Yeah,
that was what Des Bryant's play was.
Yeah.
Here's what people
he can do the whole route, the whole tree.
Here's what people tend to forget, and not even just tend to forget, but probably don't even know, is that Robert Griffin's actually a pocket passer. He can be a runner because he's so athletically gifted, it's unreal. But he's actually his whole life been a pocket passer and been taught by his father to be a pocket passer. Yeah. He has that to fall back on.
Well,
and
look at the fact
Garcon came out and already said that he needs Griffin and Griffin needs him, and those two are 100% on the same page.
Yeah,
they are going to be phenomenal
things,
together this year.
Not only that,
I wouldn't doubt it if Garcon ended up in the top 5 this year.
Not even talking about the pocket passer. Think about RG3 is deadly accurate. Mm-hmm. I mean, what did he throw? 4 interceptions last year? Or
yeah.
I think
it was 5. I think it was 20 touchdowns and 5 interceptions.
So
high completion percentage.
I'll tell you what. Again, and this is the thing.
Threat of a run.
You got to feel right now. Garcon is going to be healthy as long as he's healthy. As long as that toe is not going to
high flying division. Oh yeah.
I'll put him there.
I love it.
All right,
I love it.
So we went Roddy White, then Pierre Garcon.
Done.
Who are you guys thinking next? I mean, still the same discussion, I think. You got Vincent Jackson. I like Jordy Nelson, Amendola. I think we all like Cobb around here.
Yeah, those are the guys that are all right there.
Who do we say? Just put one out and let's move this along a little faster.
Wide receivers are very tough because there's so many interchangeable parts. But still, I'd like to move it along a little bit faster. Andre Johnson, it's tough not to throw out here, obviously, but I'm going
to push Andre down. I'll tell you, I'd rather have Vincent Jackson or Randall Cobb.
Than who?
Okay.
Than Andre Johnson.
Okay.
Those are my 2 next guys as well. Amendola and Nelson are my next 2 guys. Right with that.
I'll let you guys go here. I'll let you guys. They're all the same. These guys are all the same.
At this point, I would take a younger Vincent Jackson. Simply because I
had Jackson higher too.
I love the fact that they're actually using Jackson all over the field now, as opposed to just a deep threat. They're using him in the slot as well now, which is strange, but it gets him the ball more, which is what he needs. He's always been a kind of a one-trick pony and doesn't get many catches, but they're using him in the slot now, which is strange, but it gets him.
Give him the high, hard one.
Exactly. Who the hell is going to guard him over the middle? The guy's 6'5", has speed and great, good hands. So I do like a Vincent Jackson there. It's tough because he has a very tough strength of schedule this year. They're not going to pass as much because they're not going to be behind all the time.
Would you take a Cobb or a Vincent Jackson first?
Again, Vincent Jackson because he's still the main threat on that team, whereas Cobb is in a crowded offense.
What about you?
I would do so as well, but it wouldn't shock me if Cobb actually had one more touchdown, strangely.
Would you take Vincent Jackson or Danny Amendola?
Vincent Jackson.
I would take Vincent Jackson over
Amendola. All right, so it sounds like Vincent Jackson. Lock him in.
Locked.
All right. Who are we going with next here? By the way, just so you guys know, Vincent Jackson on my current set of tiers is down by 18.
Yeah, which is right below Andre Johnson, I think. Or
right above him.
Right above him.
But but I agree. I think it could be awesome. I don't know why. I just kind of stay away from. I'm not a lumbering big wide receiver type of guy. All right, so I don't know who we going here next. Who would you take, Danny Amendola or Cobb?
And you got Jordy Nelson too.
Jordy Nelson. I'm basically giving up.
Yeah, but
I would have had him 5 picks ago. If we can throw him in, let's do it.
No,
I think he comes in shortly, but I'd still. Who are you gonna say?
I would probably take Cobb here. I don't know. He just has. He's just so dynamic. I mean, the guy caught 80 of 102 passes thrown to him.
Let me throw another guy out there that I know that I have higher than you guys.
That's fine. Please do.
Deshaun Jackson.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've heard.
Did you see the catch he made?
Amazing things about him.
The touchdown catch he had, 47 yards, I think it was.
It was insane.
It was beautiful. It was just.
It's about 10 guys too early for me.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like you gave up. I'm just saying. I just want to throw a guy out there that I know that I have higher than you guys do.
I'll tell you right now. The last thing that I heard about Deshaun Jackson is that 1, he catches everything in camp now. Where he used to drop shit, he now catches everything in camp. 2, he has a resurgence in him. He said he's completely rededicated to what he did his first 2 years in the league as opposed to the last couple of years where he had to share a lot and was barely used in the offense. It was more just like go deep and do whatever. Now he's being used in a totally different manner with Chip Kelly being at the helm. So he's completely rededicated himself. It's very possible that he actually ends up a little higher than people think.
Good. I like him. So we'll slot him in here.
Yeah, we don't need to slot him in here right now, but he's definitely. I think he's definitely coming up right here.
Like you have Garcon that high.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm back on board the Deshaun train.
I say we did Cobb. Just right now, I think it's either Amendola or Jordy Nelson here.
Agreed.
I think Amendola's got the upside. Nelson. I don't know. I think both those guys, but I think that's where we're talking. Or Andre Johnson, if you guys think he's higher. But let's lock in between Nelson.
Here's where you know my trepidations about Jordy Nelson. So I'm gonna back an Amendola here, who's the ultimate injury prone guy.
Lock it in.
But here's the reason why. Let me give my thought process is because after all that's come out now with Wes Welker, and I think we got to talk about Welker here too, but it's almost like I have a feeling after what Wes Welker said about Bill Belichick that Bill Belichick is after every Sunday going to look in the newspaper or look online and find out what kind of stats did Wes Welker put up and do everything in his damn power to make sure that Danny Amendola puts up better stats than Wes Welker no matter fucking what.
And Tom Brady. Think he doesn't want to do that? Yeah, you're not as sweet with Manning because Manning's not as sweet. Think Brady doesn't want to have his little Amendola outdoing his nemesis.
Well, Brady's good. Brady, but he lost his best friend though in Welker, you know. So,
but it works both ways. And
we could go with suppositions till we're blue in the face. The fact of the matter is,
I love yours. I think you're spot on. Belichick's more of an emperor and a dark force type of guy than a
Belichick is going to do whatever he needs to do to win. He doesn't give a shit about anything else. He wants to win, and that's it.
He's a grudge holder.
I think he's a grudge holder.
Fuck the grudge holding. Grudge holding comes with it. I think he does anything and everything possible to win, including putting cameras all over everybody's stadiums or whatever. I don't care what the hell he does. The fact of the matter is, and these are facts, is that Brady and Amendola have a connection the same way that Welker and Brady had a connection. They are perfect for each other, and Amendola's younger, and he's quicker. He is going to put up the same type of stats that Wes Welker put up, and if he stays healthy, better stats. I love an Amendola right here, but of course, the pick always comes with the caveat of the injury.
Well, lock him in.
You know you're having that issue if you're taking him.
Of course.
Yeah.
But again, it's worth the risk if he stays healthy.
Here's what we're telling you. We're ranking these guys where they are. We're not saying that, or at some point maybe you do, but it's like if you know that nobody has this guy until 2 more rounds, you can, and you want to try to wait that 1 more round, okay, or do like D-Rex and just say,
well, we all do that. You go higher on guys than everyone else,
and that's okay.
I see it just so you do it.
Of course,
I've done this.
Everybody has affinities to different players.
Yeah. So you want to hear the potential of a Danny Amendola?
Yeah.
I'll give you the potential.
That one game where he had 15 catches?
No, 2 years ago, Wes Welker had 122 catches for 1,573 yards and 9 touchdowns. That is what Amendola can do.
And just so you know, Welker was drafted in about the 9th round that season because I had him in every league.
Yeah.
9th round pick. So Amendola, you're not saying he's a 9th round pick because he's not, but you can get awesome 9th round picks that give you a lot of friggin' points.
Yeah.
Amendola, love that call.
Love it.
I think we got to go Nelson here. If you guys think it's Welker time, fine, or Andre Johnson time, fine.
See, this is where I would take an Andre Johnson over the injured Jordy Nelson. And
Go for it.
I would slide
Go for it.
Yeah.
I think that is probably a better call at this point.
Go for it.
I think you'll be psyched.
I think this is about where he's going to end up.
Then do we put Jordy Nelson? Both these players we've already talked about at length. So
Johnson will be the
slot
14th player. Yeah, so I'm going to put Jordy at
Jordy's 15.
Done.
I think Welker comes in next.
Yeah, Welker's next on mine.
Yeah, he's right there on mine as well. I really,
Who are the players? I got Steve Smith, Nix, Bolden right here with Welker. It goes Welker, Steve Smith, Hocking, Nix, Bolden. And again, I know I got Bolden 8 guys higher than any, maybe Houdini 15.
No, you said,
I got. Well, go ahead.
Did you say Welker? We don't have.
I got Welker's my next guy.
Okay,
So,
I had Welker, and
in.
then I got Deshaun Jackson, Steve Smith, Reggie Wayne, and then we already got.
I had Steve Smith.
And I think that's the guys I feel comfortable throwing out there.
So I'd say we should lock in Welker.
I got Wayne, Welker, Bo. I think Bo is going to have a deal.
Welker's next because we all got Welker up there.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
Welker's in there. Then my next guy are Steve Smith, Nix, Bolden.
But Bolden was the guy I was going to say next before you cut me off.
Deshaun Jackson, Steve Smith, Reggie Wayne.
I like Wayne here as well.
So it's either Wayne or Steve Smith. You guys decide.
I don't like the Steve Smith here. I just can't take. I like a Wayne.
I like it's going to be Steve Smith because Steve Smith's the next guy on my tiers. So I think we should go Smith there, just doing that democracy thing. Because I had Welker, then Steve Smith, then I got Nix.
Well, like I said, I didn't like Steve Smith. I have Steve Smith down a bunch.
No, I'm saying, but we both had him next.
Oh, you had him next. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yeah.
Redeems? Okay.
So now I got Nix, Bolden, then Wayne. And you got Wayne.
I got Deshaun Jackson, Wayne, Mike Wallace, Dwayne Bowe.
So I think Wayne's next. And then if you want your Deshaun Jackson here, you take him. I think that's fair enough. He's got that upside. Yeah. I like Nix and Bolden.
So Deshaun Jackson, and then what about we didn't put in? Who are we missing?
Nix, Bolden.
You want me to throw out a few names?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got Dwayne Bowe. We got Mike. Dwayne.
You take
Bowe.
Dwayne Bowe.
Yeah, Dwayne Bowe.
Dwayne Bowe over Nix.
Dwayne Bowe, Bolden. I like my Bolden. Okay. I do like a Bolden in this situation. I like it more than Nix. I'll tell you that right now. Nix.
I got Nix.
If
Bolden.
you get Nix for 13 games this year, you are the happiest camper you've ever seen. I'll tell you that right now.
I agree. You'll get Anquan Bolden for 16 games.
I have Deshaun Jackson over
9 of them.
So who are we talking here?
I mean, the guys that I got, we both had Bolden.
Wallace is a possibility.
Wallace,
the guy scores at least 8 touchdowns a year.
Marquise Colston.
Every year.
I got Colston.
Colston I have over him as well.
I got Nix, Bolden.
Antonio Brown's a possibility.
Or Antonio Brown. Then I got Wallace.
Nix, Bolden, Antonio Brown.
Wait, we put in Wayne already, right?
Yeah, Wayne's
okay.
And we got. Did we put?
I got Bo.
I got Bo.
Okay, put Bo in.
All right.
I've got him lower, but you guys both love him. We already moved up to Sean, so the upside's there.
Wayne, I think, has got to be right there. Guy just.
We've already.
Wayne. Okay, Wayne was right. Sorry, that didn't mean Wayne.
Let me recap for you.
Yeah,
okay, please.
You know what we need to do, guys? We need to set these tiers. It's a tiers piece. So we just started ranking guys.
Well, no, I've been tiering them.
Okay, well we got to go.
Let me tell you where I got.
Tell me what you got.
If you agree.
Start it from the top.
Tier 1, Calvin Johnson. Tier 2, Des Bryant, Julio Jones, Brandon Marshall, AJ Green, and Larry Fitzgerald. Unless we want to move Larry to his own tier.
I think Larry needs to be moved to his own tier. I don't see him having the same potential as those 4.
I agree. So I'm going to move him into his own tier. So I think he's still alone in that tier, though.
Yeah, it's fine.
You think he's alone without a Demarius?
That would be the only guy I would put in there. Yeah, maybe you put in Demarius.
I think Demarius. The thing is that Demarius is actually affected well by Welker being there.
Yeah,
he really is.
Let's put
He's the
Demaryius.
he's the lone deep
guy.
Right. I'm going to put Demaryius in the tier with Larry Fitz.
Okay.
Then the next tier.
We're gonna call that tier the Mary Larry Fitz. The Mary Larry tier.
The Mary Larry tier 3.
Mary Larry tier 3.
And in tier 4 it will be Victor Cruz, Roddy White, Pierre Garçon, Vincent Jackson. And then my question is, do we want to put Randall Cobb and Amendola in that tier, or just Randall Cobb, or cut the tier off at Vincent Jackson?
I'm surprised.
I'll like them both in there.
Put them both in there. I'm surprised we got Vincent Jackson ahead of Cobb.
I could actually.
No, we already had this discussion.
Yeah, we did already have this discussion.
That's
but
too high on Vincent Jackson. Whoever picks that guy high will be underimpressed.
It's a tough schedule this year. They're not going to be playing from behind.
Good player.
Vincent
He's
Jackson.
just not going to bring you happiness.
All right. So anyway, we had Jackson, Cobb, Amendola. Next tier is
What tier was that?
That was tier 4.
Jackson, Cobb, Amendola. Okay, go.
Tier 5: Andre Johnson, Jordy Nelson, Wes Welker, Steve Smith, Reggie Wayne, Deshaun Jackson.
Deshaun's not in that tier.
Reggie Wayne.
Agreed.
Okay.
Might be a top 5 guy. You could be right.
Yeah, but the assurity of it is not even close.
All right, so then tier 6: Deshaun Jackson, Dwayne Bowe, and that's where we're at.
All right.
I'd say we go Nix Bolden. And Nix Bolden, Brown, Wallace would be my next thing.
Mine would be Wallace, Antonio Brown, Colston, Torrey Smith.
I would go Bolden, Colston, Brown, Wallace.
So it sounds like it's Bolden, Brown. Bolden, Wallace, Brown.
Right. I got Bolden down further. I don't believe in Bolden.
Well, we both had him in the top 10.
I know you guys do. I have him, just so you know, because I have to be honest, and I look at those things, and I mean, you may prove me wrong, but it's hard to see, again, an old guy like him all of a sudden just reinventing the wheel again. He's my 35th receiver.
Okay, and Jackson, just so you know, is my 29th.
Okay.
And we already got him about 5 ahead of us.
Okay.
I think Steve Smith might be older than both of them.
And Dwayne Bowe I have as my 26th.
Well, that's fine.
None of
They
us
put up better numbers than Bolden has over the last 4 years.
Yeah, but then
Remember what you did. Bolden. Remember the trends. Hey, hold on.
You want Bolden? That's okay.
Yeah,
I know.
That's fine, but remember the trends. We're not.
Yeah, I know.
Don't take it personally.
I'm not taking
you are.
anything personal.
It sounds like you are, to be honest.
I'm just
the reason
saying.
why I like Bolden so much. Hold on. I don't. No one wants to hear you defending.
What I just wanted our listeners to hear is that where I had him rated. That's all I was trying to say, and you're making an argument out of it.
I'm not. I'm telling you a point. You're making an argument out of it. Okay, here's the deal. Remember the playoffs last year? Who was the MVP of the Super Bowl team?
Vernon Davis was the MVP of the playoffs the last couple of years, and then he sucked in the regular season.
We'll get the tight ends in about an hour and a half.
Who was the MVP last year of the playoffs?
That would be Anquan Bolden.
Okay. Moved to a new team where he's got a great situation. Give me a break. Guy's fucking not falling off in some bad thing. It's not an argument.
If Michael Crabtree was still in San Francisco,
it's a different story.
I would have Anquan Bolden down around 40.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Me too. Unquestionably. Situation. Okay, go on.
No problem putting him in here. I just wanted to bring up.
She said the third time. Again, we got it.
Gotcha. Move on.
Who was after Bolden that we were talking about right there? Colston or Antonio Brown, Mike Wallace, Hakeem Nicks.
I got Antonio Brown higher than Wallace. I think.
I have Antonio Brown higher.
Okay, so
I have Brown higher than Wallace, yes, but I got Colston right there as well. You cannot deny what Colston has done. 11th in fantasy points the last 2 years in a row, and Sean Payton's coming back. And Joe Morgan went out for the year.
Higher than both of those guys.
You have who?
Wallace higher than both of those guys.
When it comes to Colston, I'll let you guys. If you guys feel like he's right here, amen. Do it. Your argument's probably sound. Right now, my guys, I've got Nicks, Antonio Brown, and Wallace are my highest guys. So does that mean Brown or Wallace goes next? I don't know.
We're talking a Miami offense that Do either of you guys know what's going to happen there? In Miami?
No.
Yeah.
The one thing that
Do you know what's going to happen in New Orleans?
Sort of.
Yeah, I do. Drew Brees is going to throw for 5,000 yards and 40 some odd touchdowns, and a lot of it's going to go to Marquise Colston.
So you agree with what I had said about Drew Brees then? So is he our number one then over Rodgers?
No, it's Rodgers. No, it's Rodgers. Because Drew Brees also will throw for 19 to 20 interceptions.
Actually, we did agree it was Drew Brees.
He was number one?
Yes.
There you go. So you're starting to argue with yourself, it sounds like, over there, Houdini.
No, he's arguing with himself.
No, we had Rodgers.
All right. So
Rodgers.
I say we do.
Oh, no, we did have Rodgers. I was looking at my tiers.
Yeah, we had Rodgers as the collector.
Do a Colston. Put a Colston. I like a Brown more than a Colston, I think, because I think he's going to get more catches.
For a PPR league, I can go Antonio Brown.
I just think he's going to get a lot of opportunities.
But, I know, Colston's also had 80-plus catches for, the last handful of
years. I think we got Colston. So he's in there, right?
Yes.
And then we're going to go Antonio Brown. Then we're going to go Mike Wallace, correct?
I like that.
Yep.
I got Nix as the highest guy on my tiers left. Who's the highest guy in each year's?
We put Deshaun Jackson
he's
right before. Yeah, okay.
And then we'll do a couple more, and then let's catch up on the last few tiers.
Then, yeah, I got Nix in there.
I have Torrey Smith, Cecil Shorts, then Hakeem Nicks. Two younger guys that are also both long touchdown
career year
potential. Who? Cecil Shorts?
Nix. I think Shorts is only a second-year guy, right? Or is he
yeah, well, I'm talking about Torrey Smith.
Torrey
Smith and Cecil Shorts have yet to hit their full potential. Whereas Hakeem Nicks is this again. It's if he can stay healthy. I know he's playing for a contract, but he seems to always just be a crybaby that hangnail will keep him out of a game.
Nix bums me out. I'll tell you that right now. He bums me out.
All of us out.
You've had him one year where he screwed you hard. I had him last year where he screwed me hard.
I've never had him.
Oh, you never did?
No, I've always
he screwed the two of us extremely hard. And he's got Ruben Randall climbing up his ass.
Okay, let's move down.
Who are your next guys then?
My next guys were exactly as you're saying. I do have Nix right there as well, but I also have Cecil Shorts and Torrey Smith.
Yeah, well then we agree. Who do you have higher?
I have both those guys right there.
I'm not high on Torrey Smith like you guys. We got Colston's already out, so done. My next guys are Nix, Aaron Dobson, and Greg Jennings.
I got Jennings after Nix on my list.
So you guys go with who you think? Because I got Justin Blackmon ahead of Cecil Shorts. And I'm willing to take the time. I know you guys love a Shorts.
Even with all the latest news on him as well.
Yeah.
He's just a dick. The guy's he's just a problem in the waiting.
Here's the other thing.
Every single week it's something new.
I think when Blackmon comes back, it only helps Shorts more because it looks like Henny's going to win this job.
Yeah.
And the chemistry that he's starting to develop already with Cecil Shorts, then you give him 4 games of which to develop more chemistry with him. Then you bring in Justin Blackmon. Justin Blackmon becomes an ultimate decoy at that point.
Guy's getting thrown out of games already, and he isn't even playing yet. He's not even. He just came off the PUP today, and he was already thrown out of the preseason game. Who the hell is going to like that guy? Listen, I think he's an incredible talent. Don't get me wrong, but
he's not there.
He's not endearing himself to his teammates.
I was just saying I have him higher than Cecil Shorts, but I know you guys are higher than Cecil Shorts, and I know he's going in right around here, and I'm totally cool with that. So I think for me, the next couple guys should be yours. I got Nix high. I got Dobson and Jennings. I know Dobson's
I would say, why don't we
shot
say,
in the dark and not anywhere near being picked.
How about if we go Cecil Shorts, Torrey Smith, Hakeem Nicks? Or not Torrey Smith. You don't like Torrey Smith. Cecil Shorts, Hakeem Nicks.
Yeah.
I can do that.
All right. Done.
I can do that. I do like my Torrey Smith.
Let's be honest. This goes back to what you were saying earlier, Houdini, where this is the zone where I'm going to be drafting other positions. I'm not worrying about these guys. Where
that's fine.
You know what I'm saying? Like these are the kind of guys in drafts where you're like, this is a tier and a grouping right here. Where I'm focusing on running backs or something. You know what I mean? And you're kind of
agreed.
These are going to be my wide receiver.
Exactly, and that's awesome.
Right.
That's awesome. It's just different mentality.
There are a few guys here that I like.
There's other guys in here like you have you're high on your Dobson. A guy I have coming up is my T.Y. Hilton. Who I'm.
I
high
love
on.
my T.Y. Hilton. The guy I'm going to throw out is my Vincent Brown, especially with Malcolm Floyd possibly going out for the year as well right now. It's going to be Vincent Brown all day.
Well, we got to figure out who's going after Hakeem Nicks. And is this a new tier now? Are we in a new tier now?
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. What was that last tier? Why don't we throw it out there?
Yeah.
So then,
last 2 tiers.
Yes.
So the last the tier 6 was Deshaun Jackson, Dwayne Bowe, Anquan Bolden. And you got to decide where you want to cut it.
What number is that? What number is Bolden? And we got to know that because we're going to go to like.
I think it's
like 22. So or 21. He's 21.
Okay.
And so then.
After that, we got.
I'm thinking that I would put Colston and then.
I thought we already had Colston.
Oh, I thought we.
Right, no, I'm talking about where they get tiered.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
So I'm talking. I would have Deshaun Jackson, Dwayne Bowe, Anquan Bolden. I'd say Marquise Colston, Antonio Brown. Draw the line because Mike Wallace is next.
I would be very close with putting Wallace in there with that one.
I think you put him in there with him just for upside. I think you would take Wallace over a bunch of those guys. No?
Well, I know I would, but that doesn't mean that that's where.
I hear.
Well, the fact of the matter is that
because
as much as
that's right. Let's start that next one with Wallace.
Because here's why. Because
who's with Wallace? Who would be with Wallace in that?
Cecil Shorts, Hakeem Nicks, and then whoever we're putting.
Those guys are pretty boom or bust kind of guys.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
You're right. All of them are.
Okay.
I would almost, to be honest, I do like an Antonio Brown. I would almost put Antonio Brown in that one as well.
That's fine.
How serious are you guys thinking that Antonio? I mean, how many touchdowns do you really think Antonio Brown can get? 6,
you're the one who
7?
sold me on it. You're like you jumped off his shit fast. You sold me on him being a 95 reception guy.
I never sold you on anything with
Didn't
Antonio
you?
Brown. I've had Antonio Brown down towards 40 on all of mine.
Go back and listen to within our last 2 months. You were a 90 catch Antonio Brown guy. That's a fact.
That's fine, but he'll still only get 6 touchdowns.
Okay, I'm saying that's why I liked him. You convinced me.
Right. In a PPR league, I'd love him. Absolutely.
Okay. Maybe that's what we're talking about. Maybe,
okay.
Yeah, we were probably talking about PPR.
Yeah, no, I do love him in a PPR league.
You convinced me that
for
this
sure.
guy was going to get a ton of opportunities.
Yeah,
now you're saying
and he
will.
He'll get a ton of opportunities, but he's not a touchdown guy. Mike Wallace has always been a touchdown guy.
I agree. All right, so let's put him Antonio Brown down.
I already got him. So it's Antonio Brown, Mike Wallace, Cecil Shorts, Hakeem Nicks. That's why I would say, is Torrey Smith going here, or are we moving Torrey Smith down?
I think Torrey Smith's in that because they're both the same way.
They're all the same players.
Right.
Torrey Smith's another.
All right, so he ends that.
8 touchdowns.
I end that tier there. So we move on to tier number 8.
Okay.
The discussion here, I think, should start with Jennings.
I think Jennings is in the discussion. I have T.Y. Hilton, James Jones, Lance Moore.
Agreed, and I'm throwing Vincent Brown in that mix.
Yeah, Vincent Brown, I have him too.
I'm definitely throwing Vincent Brown in there. Especially after the
I'd say we start with Jennings. No? My guys right now are this. Aaron Dobson, which I know is way high. Probably will move down. Greg Jennings, Stevie Johnson, Justin Blackman, Jones Decker.
You're going to actually have to...
I got Jennings as my next, so I would say there.
Okay,
so.
you guys are going to have to convince me on Jennings, so I want to hear something on Jennings, because it is Minnesota, which is run-based.
He's got a big mouth, so
he's got a big
working
mouth.
hard to have more touchdowns than
one of the things that any ex-Green Bay Packer who has gone to Minnesota has proved, they play well against Green Bay, and they know how to play in the division. It's not like they're having to, when you're making a switch of a team, it's not like you're having to learn a whole new conference or a whole new different set of rivals. You know exactly who everybody's got and what they're bringing to the table. He's coming in also as to be the lead guy for them and give them finally the stability and leadership, and Christian Ponder's going to lean on him a little bit.
Who do you have?
Leaning on him a bit means throwing to him at most 7 to 8 times a game, because they don't throw the ball at all.
We're talking about a 28th ranked wide receiver. If I get 8 targets, I'm pretty happy.
Who do you have, Doug?
I actually think that James Jones will outscore him. I think James Jones.
I'm not saying I don't. How far down do you have Greg Jennings?
Right after him.
Okay, so you're making it a huge thing. We both have Greg Jennings as the next guy.
James
You
Jones.
have him
But,
after. So.
However,
I'm not moving on this one. I'm standing firm. All right, so we got Jones in.
But,
All right,
but
then
I'll
let's
tell you
go
right
Jags.
now, T.Y. All right.
Okay, so that's fine. James Jones.
I know
think
that's
he's
not
outside
true. I have T.Y. Hilton. I'm wrong. I have T.Y. Hilton and James Jones ahead of him.
You guys both do. So I think that
And
sounds
Vincent
like
Brown right after him.
Well, no, I have Greg Jennings, then T.Y. Hilton, then James Jones.
It's Greg Jennings, then it's T.Y. Hilton, then it's Jones. Because I have Jennings the highest.
Greg Jennings, T.Y. Hilton, and then
I know you don't like that, Doug, but we do have him the highest.
and then
Yeah,
James
that's
Jones
fine. No, like I said, he was right there for me.
and
It's not a big
James
deal.
Jones. Greg Jennings, T.Y. Hilton, James Jones.
Like I said, after all that stink.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear it from you because somebody needs to convince me on taking that guy. He will be on 0% of my teams. I do
agree.
not
That's
want a
fine.
Greg
Right.
Jennings.
Mine too.
But
I'll
I will
be-
take a T.Y. Hilton, I will take a James Jones, and I will take a Vincent Brown. I just won't take a Greg Jennings.
Good point. I couldn't disagree with what you just said.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is the highest on my tiers,
And mine too, which I
and
just
they will
redid.
will change. And I bet you the T.Y. Hilton will be ahead of him.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, so we got this is at the beginning. This is tier 8. We got to get through these wide receivers
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Greg Jennings,
Thank
T.Y.
God tight
Hilton,
ends are pretty easy. But
James Jones. Is there anyone else that belongs in this tier with them?
I mean, there's some close calls.
No, let's move on.
Eric
What about
Decker
Eric
isn't a
Decker?
Yeah, I
close
think
call.
he starts the next one. Yeah, he's close, but I think he starts the next one.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I mean, there's
I
some
think
close.
I think the next one starts with the Decker. I think it's got Stevie Johnson in it. I think it's got Miles Austin, and then as you guys know,
Dobson.
I'm high on Dobson and Stevie Johnson. I think has got to be considered. I know because he's injured. Fine, I agree with
All
that.
right, so
I don't
Eric,
like him.
are we putting? We're saying it's Eric Decker,
Kenny Britt has a ton of potential.
right? Because I have Kenny Britt and Lance Moore ahead of Eric Decker,
Those are all right
and,
there.
I got Stevie Johnson right after that. So
I have all of those guys exactly right there. All four of them.
You guys, you
give me
guys
your
figure
order.
out the
Give me
next
your order
three.
you have of your next ones.
I go Decker, Britt, Moore, Johnson.
Decker, Britt, Moore, Johnson. How about we go Britt, Decker, Moore, Johnson?
I am 100% with it, as a matter of fact. When
All
I
right.
look more at it, I think the potential of Britt is more than Decker. I think the likelihood that Decker succeeds is more, but I think the potential that Britt goes off is far more than Decker. So it's way more worth it to me to take Britt than a Decker
Okay.
at that point.
And were these all in the same tier?
Yes, I think those are in the same tier. I like I said, I mean, I will voice my dislike for Stevie Johnson this year. I think he has been an injury a week for like I think since he was like 5 years old, and he literally, I mean, he's like, Mom, I'm not going to school. No, wait, okay, I'm going to school today. And he's done it for long enough. I think this is the year when he finally just gives out. And he's
Gets
already
expelled.
injured again. He gets expelled. Exactly. Yeah, it's just it for the guy. And I'm sick of hearing him being injured. And now he's moving to the slot where he's not going to have as many big plays or long plays. And he barely scores touchdowns anyway. He went like 25 straight games without a 100-yard game. The guy just, he does nothing for me.
He's got
whatsoever.
great.
And he's got either Cobb or a rookie as a quarterback.
He's got great.
And it's going to be a running game with Maroney. If you guys haven't heard enough, I
we've
could go
heard-
more.
We've heard enough.
Okay.
And let me say with my piece. He's got great facial piercings.
All right.
I mean, if we were in a league where you get points for facial piercings, he's high on my list.
I'll go with Stevie Nicks in that call. All right.
Stevie Nicks.
All right, we've had enough.
So who, yeah,
All right,
no,
so-
we don't like him.
So
None
tier,
of us do.
So, but he's in there already. So he's the end of the tier. So now we're moving into tier 9. And let me throw two guys out there. One guy. These are two guys that I think are perfect at this spot because we're talking about these are going to be backup wide receiver type guys in 3 wide receiver leagues, and I like both these guys, Emmanuel Sanders and DeAndre Hopkins.
I think.
And I've moved Hopkins way up my list after watching him play.
I like his call of yours much better than the Emmanuel Sanders, but I think where I'm in here right now, and
Sanders also looked very good and targeted in the preseason game.
We'll get through this, but I've got a Miles Austin, Cordarrelle Patterson, Tavon Austin, and Golden Tate right here.
I like a Josh Gordon. I know he's suspended for 2 games, but with that vertical type of offense that Norv Turner and Chudzinski run, as soon as he comes back after those 2 games, I mean, the guy was dominant for a guy who hadn't even played in a couple of years last year. And I know there's a lot of issues with the guy, but if they're going vertical, he has the ability of possibly being what Vincent Jackson was on San Diego, which is pretty darn freaking good, you know. So I mean, and the guy is talented. So Josh Gordon's a possibility here as well.
Wait, I just realized as I was going back, we never put Vincent Brown actually in. We got to figure out where Vincent Brown goes.
Holy crap!
He wasn't that long ago.
No, we didn't put him in. We were talking about him, but we didn't put him in.
Oh, yeah, no, that's right. No, we had him right there with James Jones, Greg Jennings, that group right there. I think
you put him at the end of those guys.
Yeah, put it at the end.
Just because of his
what was that tier? It was T.Y. Hilton, James Jones, and
that's tier 8.
Okay, name that tier again, real quick.
Greg Jennings, T.Y. Hilton, James Jones, Kenny Britt, Eric Decker, Lance Moore, Stevie Johnson, Vincent Brown.
Oh, I like Brown before. I definitely like Brown before Moore and Stevie Fucknut. I can't take either of those guys ever before Vincent Brown at this point. Especially, I mean, when you consider they have no other receivers.
We've got Vincent. He's in there. He's just at the end of that tier.
I'll put him above Stevie Johnson for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like that call. So who
I always forget how good he was 2 years ago.
Dude, we're on the same board. He's just never been. He's an injury.
So my next guy is
sucks. But
so again,
so is Amendola.
Besides Sanders and Hopkins for me, then I'm into Mike Williams, Ryan Broyles, Josh Gordon, Alshon Jeffrey, Denarius Moore, Tavon Austin, Golden Tate, in that order.
Slower. Say it again.
Sorry. Ryan Broyles, Josh Gordon.
Yep.
Mike Williams, Alshon Jeffrey, Tavon Austin, Golden Tate, Denarius Moore.
Sounds like Gordon should move up, be in here pretty soon, because he's higher for me than most of these guys.
Which guy?
Gordon.
Oh, Josh Gordon, yeah.
You said Dobson was...
He's suspended
you guys got to put in Dobson.
Yeah, we got to put Dobson.
Yeah, I like Dobson and Gordon. I mean, granted... Kenbrell Tompkins is obviously making a name for himself in Patriots camp right now, so it's taken a little bit away from Aaron Dobson.
Yeah.
And that bums me out a little bit with Dobson. But I think that Dobson is the superior
Let's throw Dobson in now, because, again, I think this is a safe spot for him. I think you'd be foolish to count on him as a starter right now. You know, as a rookie coming in, I know all the situations.
But so is Kenbrell.
Yeah. Right. That's what I'm saying. Brady's going to go back and think about this. Think about where Brady and the Patriots were when they won their Super Bowls. Brady was not a fantasy quarterback back then.
No.
Brady was a guy that was throwing for 240, 250 yards a game.
Agreed.
That's probably what we're anticipating that. So that just limits the potential for those big...
I am not anticipating that at all.
I'm thinking 275. They're not going to throw that many 300-yard games. They're going to run the ball a lot.
They're going to run. They're going to run the ball a lot. They're going to dump it off a lot. I think that the slot type receiver is going to do well. I know Amendola is going to do well as long as he's healthy. I think Kenbrell, being a possession type receiver, is going to do well.
I just think with all the rookies, you just never know exactly who's going to be each week. And
exactly.
There's going to be a lack of consistency. It's hard to predict.
And that's the thing, is that it's more about within that sort of realm, the system, because, I mean... Last year, it didn't look like Brandon Lloyd did that great. I mean, yeah, he ended up doing pretty well numbers-wise, but, I mean, whatever. It's just tough to put him so high up there. I'm good with him right here because it's safe, because if he does turn out to be a stud, love it. Absolutely freaking.
Let's close out this wide receiver with our next 5 picks.
Fine.
I don't know if that's a final tier. I don't know if that's going within this tier. But we got to get over to tight ends, so that's we can keep this all as one podcast.
All right.
Just you guys go at this point.
Who was the last one we locked
got? Dobson.
So Dobson's the last guy that's locked in.
Okay. My next picks, the guys I want to throw out there for sure that should be in there and considered. I love a Golden Tate. Absolutely love him this year. I did
too.
Yeah, I think Alshon Jeffrey should be right there. I think that was Lance Moore already put in that?
No, we don't have Josh Gordon or Ryan Broyles in there either.
Oh, those two for sure.
Okay, so we're
right,
talking
yeah,
five.
I need to recap.
So
Put those in.
No. We're gonna. They're all gonna be in here. We're gonna refine this real fast for our order here. For me, and it's weird because I currently have Alshon above these guys, and I just don't know how much I trust the second receiver on a Bears team. So I want to move him down.
Cutler to Brandon Marshall connection.
And the thing is that, again, everything that I've been seeing about what Matthew Stafford has been saying about Broyles is that this is a guy you just have to get the ball to.
Period.
And if he's going to be healthy, which he looks like he's going to be for week 1.
That's what they did in college.
So let's put Broyles here.
I love a Broyles.
Broyles, Gordon.
Now the thing about how many games is
Tate higher than
Gordon suspended for? One game?
Who? Gordon?
Josh Gordon?
Two games.
So that may affect if you want to move him
Agreed,
down.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So we'll keep him in this tier, but he'll be at the end. He'll be at the end of the tier.
Golden Tate. He's number one on the team. We love the quarterback, and there's no Percy Harvin anymore.
Okay, and then
and Rice is possibly.
And Rice.
Yeah. Now maybe
it's a Golden Tate. That guy could end up.
Alshon Jeffrey now, and then put Josh Gordon. Right.
I would probably still go Gordon over Jeffrey.
Okay, I can do that. That's fine. I love his long play potential. It's insane.
Yeah.
All right, my last guys here that I have.
Yeah, throw a couple guys out there.
Austin, Cordell Patterson, and Tavon Austin. Those are my last guys.
Those guys we're throwing out there. Emmanuel Sanders,
and let me just,
Michael Floyd.
Here, let's each of us just throw out who our next 5 are that are not on the board.
Your Sanders.
Your
Reuben Randall, or both your Reuben Randall.
So my guys that are not on the board still, my next 5 were Emmanuel Sanders, Mike Williams, Denarius Moore, Brandon LaFell. Is that 5?
What about your DeAndre Hopkins? We
didn't put him in there. DeAndre Hopkins. And that's my 5. And Hopkins was my second.
Who's got higher upside right now? Cordell Patterson or Austin or Hopkins? Who do you think is going to have the most fantasy points?
I think Hopkins.
Out of those rookies.
I think Hopkins.
Who do you think?
Hopkins and Austin are really close. Patterson is limited by the type of offense and the fact that he's really, really raw.
Yeah, and that doesn't seem... Yeah, good point. Okay, so let's put your boy, DeAndre Hopkins.
We were closing up. We were just going through our next...
Oh, this is the next one? Yeah. Let's move on.
That's what I said. We're moving on to the next. I just said, let's just let the listeners know who our next 5 off the board would have been for each of us.
Done. The listening audience, the secretary is looking at his screen, so he knows where we're at. Dogmatic and D-Rex didn't really see where the tiers are.
That's what it is.
Anyway,
just remember,
I thought those were clean, dude. Those were great. I think I would take those to the bank. And again, these are a draft. We're going to put a piece up on the site about this and our collective tiers along with this podcast, and maybe do some sort of op-ed with it. Valverde.
Yep.
I think this is just a draft of us going through an initial one. So let's move over to these tight ends. Those big fellas. We're going to have to move a little bit faster, but I figure that just happens inherently with this position.
Well, and the other thing is that when you have to start 3 wide receivers or 2 wide receivers, we're going a lot deeper versus 1 tight end. It shouldn't take as long.
Exactly. No. All right.
I nominate Jimmy Graham for tier number 1.
Dude, what are you've been drinking too much.
Oh, well, hey, I nominate. I said I nominate. Here. Arm up in the air. I nominate.
Here.
I should.
Second nomination?
Yeah. All right. I
call for acclamation? Call.
Here. He's number 1.
Right.
Tier
Jimmy
1.
Graham, number 1. Tier 1. Alone. Done.
Redonkulous. Within the next 10 days, that guy will be a $100 million player.
However, and I will throw out the caveat here, if Gronkowski says that he's coming back week 1, no matter what,
he's there. He's there, but it's still Jimmy. Because Jimmy's there.
That's fine.
But on the way into the stadium, does Gronkowski break his forearm opening up the glass door?
Only if Kevin Cobb is in front of him.
Kevin Cobb is in front of him on the mat.
That's it. All right.
So is he alone? I think he's alone.
He's alone, period.
Okay. Tier 1, Jimmy Graham.
If Gronk was 100% healthy, he might have been number 1. But
absolutely.
Right. So.
Tier 2, obviously Gronk's in the discussion. 2 guys I'll throw out that I know we've talked about before and we all love. Jason Witten, especially in PPR format, and Vernon Davis, essentially the number 1 wide receiver.
It's crazy. I've always hated Vernon Davis because he's just been so disappointing. But I really hope that they really are working him out as this wide receiver, because not only that, it gives such good balance to the guy that you were in love with as a rookie, Vance McDonald, who could potentially become a bigger part of that offense then as well.
Yeah,
it remains to be seen. We'll wait and see, especially when they play that 3rd preseason game, just exactly how much they're using him as a wide receiver.
Well, I think I agree with you. He's been a frustrating fantasy play. I think, 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, he was the number 1 tight end.
Yep.
Has been kind of a head case, been kind of a dick. Didn't really, went through the whole Singletary thing. I think Singletary kind of messed with his head a little bit. Now I think he's just had that kind of ever since the playoffs with everybody. Year. He's on board with Kaepernick. He's not standing behind Alex Smith, who's no longer with the franchise. He seems to be less about me and more about the team. And let's be honest, they're tasting a Super Bowl, and the only way they're going to get it is if he is a stud.
And let's be honest, Colin Kaepernick doesn't have a lot of other choices of who to throw the ball to.
Yeah. So is he right now? Is he the 2?
I disagree that the only way San Fran's going to win the Super Bowl is if Vernon Davis is a stud.
I didn't say the only way. I said if they're going to, he has to be a stud.
No, we could play it back. You said the only way, but either way, I think he's going to be a stud anyway. But he's not my second.
We'll play it back, but I'll be the only one that'll hear it.
All right. I got to go right now. If I was to take a second tight end right now, I would still go Gronkowski, because I think that he outscores anybody in 11 weeks than anybody else puts up in 16, except for Jimmy Graham.
What do you think?
Let's put it this way.
I'm going Vernon here, just because of the certainty.
Here's the whole point. The certainty is, again, how a guy gets injured like that, it worries me. So I have Vernon Davis, Jason Witten, Gronkowski. But he's right. If Gronkowski does come back and is healthy, he'll put up the best numbers of those 3 guys.
Without doubt. And it's week in, week out. It's every week. Whereas Vernon Davis is very inconsistent.
He's a touchdown. He's a touchdown machine. I mean, he's a touchdown a game guy.
I think we got to go Vernon Davis too, just because of the health. I agree with you, dog. There's no question. If Gronkowski starts week 1 and everything's great and his arm is healthy and all these surgeries are behind him, there's no reason to think he's not going to be number 1. If you guys want to put him at number 2 because of that right now, I'm okay with it. But right now, when you got health and you got a guy that's in there, 2 days ago was Kaepernick's best day of practice ever, they said. 2 bombs to Vernon Davis. Where it's just going to be that thing where all of a sudden they're going to spread the field, and that field past 10 yards out where there's a linebacker on Vernon, it's open, and it's going to be Kaepernick buying some time and just chucking 50-yarders to this guy. I think he's a wide receiver, and I feel the same way about Witten, where if Gronkowski is healthy, again, I think he's 1 or 2 in tier 1. But let's go Vernon Davis second,
Agreed.
Just because of the health, and then Gronk,
and then Witten.
If I have in my tier those 3 guys in tier 2.
I do too. So do I.
Okay. So
I actually include Gonzo, because I know that you guys are thinking he's going to fall off.
I'm warming up to the thought of him.
I know that you guys
available at a good spot.
I have him as my 8th. I think he's hanging around for the playoffs, and I think
I don't think
that's a good point.
He has never been the type of guy who just hangs around for anything. The guy plays 16 games every year, no matter what, and tries his ass off every single freaking game.
I do understand.
But hold on. Sorry to interrupt you guys. He's not even in camp, is he?
No, that's exactly my point.
I don't like that.
Is that he is taking camp off to spend with his family so he can take that year off to play football. That's it. And this is it. This is the last year for him. You think that he's really not going to try this last year?
No, it's not about trying.
It's a mentality.
Right.
It's a mentality. What do you say?
Who else are you going to take 5th over Gonzalez?
I got Gonzo next.
Oh, okay. Well, then what's the problem?
He's saying, but I agree. I agree with his point. that I do think it's save ground for the playoffs. If he's already not in camp and he's just doing the Phil Jackson, I'll coach, except for games when you go to Toronto, New York, and I'll coach the team. But there's 30 games that I'm not coaching the team. That's what happened last year with the Lakers. He didn't go on the road games. There's something wrong about it, and I think it pays off in the game. I mean, agreed. If you were a professional athlete and you, okay, I'll come back. Shouldn't you be there right now with your team sweating it out? Shouldn't you?
Yeah, I agree.
He's not fucking Michael Jordan.
It's not like Gonzo has ever lost respect for anything he's ever done in his entire life, though. The guy's like one of the most respectable, upstanding.
He's worried that his regular season, he's not going to get much.
They're not going to count on him as much as they have in the past, and you have the development of Julio Jones going to another level. You brought in Steven Jackson. You have just a cohesive unit that's been together for a long time. So
I think he's next. But
he's not in the top 4. I'll give you that.
Maybe I'm more adventurous.
I just want to know who you have.
Jared Cook, Greg Olsen, Kyle Rudolph are above him.
Jared Cook, I will tell you, will not, because they will spread the ball around so much that I don't think anybody will catch more than 52 passes on the entire Rams team.
Yeah, I got Cook at number 12. But I've got right here Gonzalez, Gates,
and again, I'm going to be that guy like you with Pierre Garcon and some of these other guys. I'm going to reach on Cook, and he's going to pay off for me.
That's fine. And hey, that's perfect.
As the most veteran receiver on
the guy's got a
didn't you get
shitload of talent.
No, I didn't draft him last year. I was high on him last year, and he failed. But you know what? His coach brought him back to his other team.
He was a super breakout from you guys. I remember.
Yeah, and you know what? Every super breakout that we had on Tennessee failed last year because Tennessee failed last year.
Yeah, I knew that, and I was saying that.
And Jared Cook, once the offensive coordinator started revamping everything back to go to him toward the end of the year, he had a couple good games, then he got hurt and was done for the year. So
he did. That's true. That's true.
I'm just saying,
he did have a couple.
I'm going to jump on board
a tight end's body
with Houdini. In that, I absolutely love Jared Cook. I think he is one of the premier tight end talents in the entire league. I hate his situation. Hate it. I think there are too many talented players on that team for him to shine.
All right. Well, but again, football is a game about mismatches. And you know what? When a guy is like a wide receiver who's got wide receiver skills at the tight end position, all he does is create mismatches.
When everyone else on the team's super fast, too. Yeah. I agree with that. But, okay, so we got to put in Tony G. I mean, he's the guy there.
And who are the other? You had Jared Cook. Who else did you have? You had Greg Olsen and Kyle Rudolph also ahead of him? Okay. I mean, I could see both of them being studs this year. Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
Again, here's the other reason why. Let me just throw one other just quick point out. I don't want to draft a guy that's old and only going to give me what he can give me. I like a guy that's got upside and potential still left in him. A guy that's hungry to have that really good season and make a name for himself.
Make some money.
I fully agree.
Versus a guy who's hanging around for one reason. He was going to retire. He just came back because, all right, we won a playoff game. I want to have a chance to win a Super Bowl. Carry me there, and I'll play you in the playoffs.
I fully agree with you. In every other position except for tight end. Tight end is the only position where steady and constant and doing it forever actually works. That's the only position where you can take a guy year after year after year and he will give it to you every single year.
So the next guy will be Ditka.
Tony Gonzalez has given you the exact same thing for years.
I agree. We got Gonzalez. He's there. All right, Gates and Olsen are my next guys. Kyle Rudolph and Fred Davis are in the discussion for me.
Well, you already know my guy.
Your guys, Cook,
my guy, Rudolph, Cook, Olsen, Rudolph are my next three guys.
Olsen, Rudolph. So sounds like Olsen.
Yeah, I think Olsen.
Put an Olsen there.
And I know you guys are both high on Antonio Gates.
I mean,
to me, it's that old guy thing.
I'm with you. We don't have to have Gates there.
But no, the good thing
Gates is the kind of guy that's slipping in drafts like nobody's business. Right. So I'm willing to understand that.
Let's also talk about a benefit to him, though, because Malcolm Floyd goes down. Again, they've lost another key weapon on their offense. I mean, you've just lost two of your wide receivers, two of your three wide receivers, your top two wide receivers, actually.
Yeah.
So now you're going to have to lean on Vincent Brown,
who's been injured the last 3 years,
and Keenan Allen, the rookie, who's been absolutely atrocious in training camp. So,
well, I think that's a good reason for him, and I think this new offense is going to be like a dip and dunk type of offense, where because of his noodle arm. And because of just the system and not having the right personnel, they just need to get the ball out quick.
Yeah, I still like Cook better than him.
I was high on both Gates and Vincent Brown before Denario Alexander and Malcolm Floyd went down because of the system that they're about to be playing in. It's not the same system that Norv Turner ran.
No, I understand.
So I mean,
but also I didn't see the tight ends tearing it up in Denver when Mike McCoy was there. So that's all I'm saying.
No, I fully understand that. But they also didn't have a running game. I mean, they also did have a running game, whereas San Diego does not. They're dependent on Ryan Matthews and
I think both
Woodhead.
me and Dog have Gates here, so I think it's Gonzalez, Olsen, then Gates.
Okay.
But I do like Cook
then Rudolph
right there, or
then
Rudolph. No, Rudolph. I absolutely love this.
So Rudolph and Fred.
Would you rather have Gates over Rudolph?
It's super close. It really is super close.
He hates Ponder.
I hate Ponder.
But
I hate that offense. I do love Rudolph though, and I think they're going to use Rudolph more. I think they're going to use Rudolph more this year than they did last year. However, I think with these new injuries that have happened in San Diego, I think it's undeniable that Antonio Gates is going to be. Plus, I hear that Antonio Gates lost like 10 pounds so he could be in the best shape of his life. I heard
that's because he ate a bad fish taco.
Fish tacos change your
Gates
life.
has got that upside. I think Rudolph's right there, so I think it should go Gates and then keep Rudolph in the same tier.
Not going to give me any love on Jared Cook, huh?
No, I do love the Jared Cook too. I really do. All three of those guys
He's
are
never
literally
done it.
right there.
Why get burned by a guy? Jared Cook. People have been saying this about Jared Cook. This is his 4th year where he's going to come out. 3rd year probably. He never does it.
He has been said he's the next.
Well,
he's always got the next chance, but it never.
This is the year I'm banking on him because in my keeper league, I did have him, but he wasn't my starter last year. No, that's what it was. I drafted him to be my starter this year. I already have it all set. He is going to be my starting tight end this year in my keeper league.
That's all I needed to hear, and that's.
So you're wishing. You're wishing.
You just mentioned it's your
I
keeper
picked
league.
him up last year, and that was with the knowledge of that I want him.
If Jared Cook was not on your keeper league team,
I would still like him. I've watched the dude play,
and it was Antonio Gates.
I've watched. I'm not an Antonio Gates fan. Let's put it this way. I've been in 6 leagues. Antonio Gates has been in the league for how many years? I've had him on 0 teams.
Okay. Well, so you're saying
I'm not an Antonio Gates fan when he was at the top of his career. And you're talking about at this point in time? No, I'll go in a different direction.
So here's the way we go.
You rule it. You rule.
We had Gonzalez.
Then
we had Olsen.
Yep.
Then we do Gates. Then we do Kyle Rudolph. Then or Cook. Then Kyle Rudolph. It's either Rudolph. I like Rudolph more than I like Cook. You like Rudolph more than you like Cook? If not, then it's Cook, then Rudolph.
I like Rudolph over Cook.
Okay.
And the only reason being it's not purely because of talent. Because talent-wise, I love a Jared Cook. But it's the wrong system in the wrong time right now. The Rams are young. They are fast, and they're using everybody.
I'm prepared to wait till the end of the season and laugh my ass off that I was right. So we'll wait till that point.
Totally. To be honest, I think Robert Meacham is going to maybe do some good things for San Diego this year.
I'm going to close off that tier at Kyle Rudolph because I know you guys hate Jared Cook.
No, I have Cook in that tier.
No. I'm putting him at the top of the next tier. He wants to stay at the top because that's where he needs to be. He's not sitting at the bottom of a tier. He's at the top of a tier.
The tier that I would have had. The tier that I would have had him. Pete guys I would have had him with in this chair would be a Fred Davis,
Martellus Bennett, and Dustin Keller.
Yeah. I've got a Zach Miller, but he's got to move down. He's got to move down. So yeah,
agreed. I have Fred Davis.
I might even say Owen Daniels because that guy's sneaky and always puts up points.
I have Jordan Cameron and Rob Hauser and Finley right there as well. Bennett, I definitely have. Fred Davis, I definitely have.
So Fred Davis and Bennett. Let's discuss that.
Let's discuss who are your next 2 guys.
Mine are Fred Davis and Martellus Bennett.
I have Bennett, Cameron, and Davis.
I said 2. I got the Martellus Bennett and Dustin Keller.
It's a Bennett,
and I'll give a third. Owen Daniels.
Okay. I love Mike Keller as well.
He goes against
so is Antonio Gates.
I know that you were just talking about how much you hate him.
As far as if I'm ranking guys, this guy puts up points every year.
All right, so it sounds like we should put Martellus next. then I would say Fred Davis, because I think me and Dog are both high on him. Unless you guys think Dustin Keller is ahead of Fred Davis.
I do love Keller this year, but I'd like Davis next.
Me too. All right, so you got that?
But I do love Keller next.
So,
Cook, Bennett,
Davis, Keller.
Fred Davis, Keller.
Okay, done.
All right, then the guy that's moving up mine, and I think everyone's just from what you're hearing.
That's the end of a tier right there.
Yeah. Maybe the next guy could go in there, but Kobe Fleener. I think he's moving up. Another guy that's skyrocketing up in mine, Tyler Eifert. Guy's making plays. He's going to be the second guy.
Can I make a case for the old man Owen Daniels?
No, he's literally like 20 down on me.
Really? I mean,
Yeah.
because with
Like
DeAndre Hopkins being added into that offense, he is going to be getting so many more opportunities. He's been the number 2 target in that offense, and they've always double covered him and blanket covered him. They're not going to be able to do that now with DeAndre Hopkins because it was Kevin Walters on the other side.
It's strange how things work out this way. Where you were just talking about Antonio Davis being around, or Antonio Gates.
We already talked about this. I already said that. I agree with that. But I'm just telling you, this is a guy who
he's not in the discussion. I got him at 30th.
Daniels is the one breaking it down.
Yeah, I got him in 30th. Owen Daniels never healthy. He's part of the problem, not the solution there.
Sorry.
Jermichael Finley's an interesting thought right now too. I mean,
Finley, I know you're getting high on. You say he looks good. Kobe Fleener, that situation looks nice.
Agreed.
I like Eifert. I mean, I think Eifert could easily have 75 catches and have a great season.
Right, so we had Martellus
75
Bennett.
catches?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
You're talking about a tight end rookie going to have 75 catches more than any rookie wide receiver. And wow,
Yes.
I mean that's you're insane.
Who's going to be on the opposite side of the ball from AJ Green?
But you're still going to have Jermaine
who is-
Gresham out there. You're thinking 75 catches. That's a lot for a rookie tight end coming into the league. I'm thinking he's going to be closer to 50. That's where I'm at. I mean, so you're talking about a guy that you have a lot higher up.
Mike, can you
Tyler
agree?
Eifert, I got a 22.
Can I agree?
I moved him up.
And just so you know, Eifert for me is 17, so we're not far off.
All right, well, we're talking about number 13 right now.
Okay, but Owen Daniels is my 30th.
Okay, that's
what you're
fine.
trying to
I know, and I gave him up. He's gone.
Okay, so here's my one question. Though.
Dog was high on him about a week and a half ago, and he changed his mind.
One question I got for you. When it comes to the number 2 guy to AJ Green on Cincinnati, what player do you think it is?
Throwing the ball? 2?
Getting catches, yeah.
I think Giovanni Bernard and Mohamed Sanu will get catches. I think that Gresham and Eifert will get catches. I think Eifert will end up, as you said, probably around 50. Between 45 and 50 catches. Marvin Jones plays into it too.
Yeah,
It's easy if you name every guy.
I don't know.
They're all talented. That's the thing, is that they got a lot of talent on
number 2
offense.
is.
Eifert's awesome, but 75
They
catches
just have
is
more people
a lot.
to spread the ball around to.
That's more catches than Vincent Jackson has ever made.
Yeah,
Let's just put it that
That's
way.
a lot of catches. That's all I'm saying.
No, it's not. You're right.
And a rookie on top of it. So
Well, I just wonder, who do you
with
think-
another
unless-
tight end was an up and coming tight end up until they got another.
At this
Yeah.
point, I put out that number. I'm not trying to argue the 75 catches. I'm trying to argue.
I know you were making
I'm
a
trying
point.
to say who's the second receiver on that team this year.
I don't know.
Who do you think?
I don't know.
Take a guess.
Not Tyler Eifert.
I
He'll
think
be a big
Big
weapon in the
guess.
offense. I don't know. I'm not making the guess.
I am going to make
I
a
think
guess.
they're all about the
it's
same.
Tyler Eifert.
There you go.
I
Okay,
agree.
that's all I'm
I
saying.
fully agree. He's the second guy on that team.
That's all I want to say.
Doesn't
I
mean
agree.
he's getting more than 50 catches.
And I didn't.
But
I'm not going to say
the
you're
number
wrong.
2 guy on that team isn't all that great. I'll tell you that right now.
Elshon Jeffrey was the number 2
He
guy in
hasn't
the
been
Bears,
thus
and he had
far.
26 catches.
This
last
guy looks great.
He does look great. I'll
catches
give you
he's
that,
making,
and he's
the
rising
things
up
I'm
my
reading.
boards as well.
No, we haven't heard Sanu or any of these guys over the previous
you're right.
preseasons coming in
Two
that
seasons.
that sound amazing.
Sanu was a rookie last year, as was Marvin Jones.
Yeah.
All right, but if you're going to talk about Tyler Eifert here, no. I'd rather have Jermichael
Okay.
Finley.
No,
I'd rather have Kobe
Fair
Fleener.
enough.
I'd rather have Jordan Cameron.
Fair enough.
But listen, I love you jumping out on a limb.
And
I'm
a
all
Hausler.
about that.
And a Hausler right here.
I love a Hausler too. Zach Ertz and Travis Kelsey are climbing up my boards too. These guys are great.
Fleener's my highest guy here.
But
Can we
I
agree on
love
Fleener?
a
Can we agree
Fleener.
on Fleener?
I'm close, but I still,
Who do you got?
I told you, I got Jermichael Finley. I got,
and you have Finley too. So it sounds like Finley.
I have Cameron, Hausler, and Cameron, Hausler, Daniels, and Finley. That's what I got.
So now Daniels is in the discussion.
Okay, so now Daniels is in the discussion. So then it's up. Then you just went Daniels.
You just changed it all off on me.
It's all good.
I got Daniels, Jermichael Finley.
Daniels is next. I think that's a terrible pick.
Yeah, I would never take an Owen Daniels.
Such a better pick than that.
I'll tell you right now. It's the same thing.
I don't know how we were at the conversation we were about 7 minutes ago to get Owen Daniels on the board.
I would never take an. Matter of fact, I'm changing my tiers immediately. I would never take an Owen Daniels over a Kobe Fleener at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Never.
That makes sense. Now we're back to earth.
So you want me to put Kobe Fleener next?
I think so.
Fine. Moving on.
And we have Keller.
Let's get through 20 of these.
I hope we do have
this
Keller
thing out at least.
We're actually doing all right. We can do like 5 more guys in this, and
we need 7 more.
Okay, 7 more. So did you get Keller's in, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we just got Fleener.
Keller's in, and then we got a new tier starting with Kobe Fleener.
And I think Rob Hausler is the next guy. And Jordan Cameron sound like...
Yeah, both those guys.
What about Finley? Where are you putting? How far are you dropping these guys?
All 3 of those guys are right there.
Just start throwing them in there, and we'll organize.
I still think Finley, based on his talent level and the fact that he's been smart and not talking to the media, and you talk about the Chris Carter factor, and we talked about this earlier, about these guys who are...
You finally fucking the light goes on upstairs.
Maybe.
Fine.
Dude, you guys see him throwing haymakers?
We're talking about him as the number 14 overall tight end.
I know, but hold on. When you say there's a light going on and how this guy's been awesome, did you guys see the practice where they were all fighting each other the other day and he's throwing haymakers at the defense in practice? This guy's a psycho.
I missed that. Finley did?
Finley. Haymakers. Haymakers at the preseason practice.
Just moved down my tiers again.
He's a fucking idiot.
He is. He's always been that way.
But
I wish I'd seen that.
Opportunity and situation and talent-wise, he should. But he's an idiot.
But it's
something missing.
Here's the thing.
There is
the current injury to Jordy Nelson. What happens if that thing lingers?
Lock him in. I'm just saying. This is not a guy that cares.
I would probably rather take a chance on a Cameron or a Hausler over a Finley, for sure.
Well, let's put Cameron next. Let's put Cameron next.
I would do both.
So Jordan Cameron, and then we'll put Rob Hausler.
And then we'll put Hausler, and then we're doing... Oh, we already got Finley. Okay.
Yeah.
Then a Hausler. Okay.
Brandon Myers coming up next.
Brandon Myers, I mean, Pettigrew gets the opportunities. I know we don't like what he does with them. He gets the catches and targets.
You're high on the guy that I'm also high on. And again, with Percy Harvin out, Zach Miller is going to be asked to do more.
My fear with him is I haven't heard anything about him.
He's not.
I know.
Percy Harvin wasn't there last year. You guys got to remember that. Percy Harvin being gone changes nothing. You have to look at what they did last year. Zach Miller didn't do anything. You guys like to talk about Anquan Bolden in the playoffs. Well, let's look at Zach Miller in the playoffs. Here's a guy that had the momentum at the end of the year, and again, this is when Russell Wilson starts. I understand.
No, I'm with both you guys. You guys are both right.
I'm using your arguments against you, and you're just
Vernon Davis
throwing it away.
I agree with you.
I'm sorry. Vernon Davis at least proved it in the past.
Hold on one second.
Okay.
Hold on one second. Here's what
Zach Miller's done nothing.
Here's what I'll ask. I've been the guy that's been high on Zach Miller, and I'm cooling on him big time. Here's what I ask. What has anybody heard of Zach Miller this preseason?
Well, but they have
nothing. He's been injured.
So
all the news
he's been injured.
And that's the reason. So he's injured. So that's bad news for him. So I think Zach Miller we should take off the table right now. I agree with you. He had a great playoffs and he performed, but I haven't heard a thing positive about him. You're saying he's injured. Maybe he's just...
to Christine Michael. It's not like they're moving to let's pass it to the tight end game.
Tight ends are always going to be a part of the West Coast offense.
Especially in that team that's decrepit of wide receivers.
And again, when they finally blew the top off the offense to let Russell Wilson start doing stuff, listen.
He's in the discussion. He's in the discussion.
All right, you guys want to take the potential of a Zach Miller over the potential of a Travis Kelce or a Zach Ertz at this point? Really?
Yes.
Oh. Be my guest.
You'd rather take
definitely over an Ertz.
Yeah, you want to take an Ertz who's battling with James Casey and Brent Selleck.
The most crowded tight end
on Philadelphia, who's under a new
They
offense.
say that Ertz is basically their next wide receiver.
That offense looked lost against New England. On
Philly?
Yes.
Yeah.
In the first preseason, they looked completely discombobulated.
I don't like the Ertz. It's Ertz.
Travis Kelce, you're talking about the guy that couldn't make Vernon Davis anything in his.
We are talking about the what ranked tight end?
We're
talking about we're talking about your backup tight end.
Correct.
Still top 25. I just don't think we're ready for Ertz yet.
Okay.
I just don't. I'm with you. Upside Ertz in 3 years could be sick as
Once
hell.
Selleck is off the team,
and they got a lot of competition.
Too much there.
Read up on Ertz a little bit, guys.
I know Ertz.
I've been reading up.
I know Zach Miller.
Hey, we agreed. Did I not just
We
agree
already
with
said
you?
he's gone.
We agreed with you. So when we're
looking at who's after Hausler, is what we want to know.
Okay.
Who's after Hausler?
Accept it.
Pettigrew.
I think Pettigrew gets the opportunities.
Pettigrew does, or Brandon Myers. We did say Brandon Myers, right? Already?
No, he's not in yet.
He's not in yet.
The chance, I guess, maybe if I'm doing well in G-Town.
Do we have Cameron and Eifert already in?
Cameron's in. No, Eifert's not in.
It's got to be Eifert. It's got to be.
I love
I would take Eifert over Pettigrew.
Yeah,
I would
Eifert.
too. Absolutely.
It's Eifert.
All right, so
Absolutely.
after Hausler,
I'm gonna say one thing and just
After
listen to this. Eifert could easily be top 5 this year. You might not agree.
No, I do agree. As a matter of fact,
Easily could be a
he's
top
one of
5
those sick
tight end
talents
this year.
He really is. He's one of those sick talents
That's all I'm gonna say.
with a
He could be
quarterback
25th.
that doesn't have
But
the
he
strongest
could
arm in the
be
world.
top 5. No one else we've been talking about recently could be top 5. Eifert might come onto the scene gangbusters.
Agreed.
All right, so how many more do we need, Deanie?
2.
Well, Kellen Winslow Jr. said he was going to catch 100
so we have
passes.
Tyler Eifert, then Tyler Eifert, Brandon Pettigrew. Do we say?
I'm listening to Soldier Boy.
Do we say Brandon Myers though after Pettigrew?
If you guys think that Nix is going to be banged up and injured the whole year, then yeah.
I mean, Myers is a possibility. I hate going on his one random year last year where there was nobody in the world to throw to. It was a check down.
It was also
offense.
the first year he was given a chance.
And let's be honest, if you were a power
we could go with David
I'd
Arsberry.
rather have Chris Paul throwing you the ball than friggin' the worst point guard in the league.
Exactly.
He's got a better situation,
Right?
Exactly.
Regardless of the opportunity, I mean, he made the most of nothing last year.
Martellus Bennett was effective in that offense last year, and so we're talking about the 19th rated tight end here. That's pretty good.
Yeah. No, I do. I definitely like him there.
So now, you want to talk about your young guy you want to take a chance on? It's Travis Kelce that you take the chance on.
Agreed.
So that's the guy that I would put here.
How much does the signing of Dallas Clark affect Ed Dixon?
That's an interesting one.
Well, that's why I'm not putting Ed Dixon.
He's not in my tiers even. I got to write that down. It's so new.
Yeah.
He got signed before Friday. The last time I worked on these
Dallas
things.
Clark just got signed yesterday.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
We can't do it yet. We got to see a little bit of game.
No, right.
We got to see what he's doing.
Yeah,
there.
but he was relatively effective for Tampa Bay.
Dallas Clark is not really a blocking tight end.
No, exactly. But Ed Dixon is.
I know. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
the thing. Is that I think those two will say.
What I'm saying
it wouldn't
is-
shock me if they dropped the
Right, which is why Ed Dixon should not be here at number 20. So I think
Exactly.
I like Travis Kelce because this is a kid who came in. It was a crowded tight end situation there in Kansas City as well. He has clearly head and shoulders put himself into the starting position.
Actually, my point with the Dallas Clark thing is that this is Jim Caldwell's offense, which was Indy's offense with Dallas Clark there. And this is an offense that used Dennis Pitta very well.
I like a Clark.
Maybe Dallas Clark kind of jumps up a
good.
little bit.
But it's risky.
It's risky. I would rather take Kelce right now. Give me a week. Give me a week to 2 weeks. But I'll take Kelce right now. Give me 2 weeks to see what Dallas Clark works.
I agree with
I
that.
need to see Dallas still has it because he's
We got
slowed down a
Pettigrew
lot.
already in there, right?
Yeah,
Pettigrew.
I'm glad it's still preseason, but yeah, I think Kelce above Dallas Clark, and I think that cuts it with the tight ends.
That's 20 guys.
All right, so
Done deal.
So how deep do we go at wide receiver? And then we just did
40.
We did 40 and 20. All right, that's going to do it, guys. We don't have to rush and close this thing out. We're actually sitting at about 2 hours, which is nice. But I think as a draft, as a first punch out of our wide receiver and tight end for the Pyromaniac collective tiers by D-Rex, Houdini, and Dogmatica, I think it's a nice push. And the beauty of that is we all had to give up a little bit. We all changed. We don't sit here and have the same exact guys as our favorite, and that's awesome. So
and that's how we get the blend.
Yeah, we'll get. The blend.
We're like a fine blended Scotch whiskey.
Or a fine red wine blend out of
whatever you like.
northern Chicago. Really great wine.
That's a great vineyards up there.
Really great weather for those grapes.
The beauty of this stuff is that right now, I don't like these other two guys. I'm talking to the microphone right now. I don't like these other two guys. But as soon as this podcast is over, we're best friends again. It's all great. But I'm telling you that I am adamant in the way I like to pick, and so are these other two. So is D-Rex and so is Houdini. And we all are. But we come to a consensus, and it's not just a consensus based on, let's just give in to this. We actually discuss it, and that's a good thing. And we come to a great consensus to a point where it makes sense.
For three guys that have never been married, this is basically our marriage when we do stuff like that. That's when we give and take. We pick our battles. We, you know what I'm saying?
I have.
Oh, you haven't, right? That's right. Sorry.
All right, well,
sorry about that, dog.
Cut.
Anyway, on that note, awkward. Thanks for listening, guys. Dogmatica, your insight's awesome. You know your shit like nobody else. Houdini, you as well. I think this stuff's great. Keep listening with us on the podcast. We're going to have another one out in the next week. I don't even think we know what we're going to do yet, which makes it exciting. Maybe it'll be a draft strategy of some sort, or maybe we'll bump it into a few different segments. But regardless, this closes out segment 2, part 2 of the Pyromaniac Collective Tears Pyro Podcast. Thanks, guys.
Peace.
Later.